Welcome to Wife Cheating Story. I hope you have an enjoyable and relaxing time listening. Let's get started.
Chloe's tearful eyes told me nothing was normal anymore. My wife's pink tank top and hush-hush calls screamed lies. No confrontation felt safe, no proof felt conclusive enough yet. I masked my fury while shadows crept through our home. Then that single text truly shattered any last shred of doubt. "Miss you already," it read, mocking my faith in marriage. Anger ignited my veins, fueling a vengeful, relentless determination ahead. Heartbreak forced me to gather evidence in deadly calm silence. Now I'm stepping beyond illusions, poised to expose everything mercilessly. Before we begin, let me know where you're tuning in from down in the comments. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next tale. I've always prided myself on being someone who notices the little things. Maybe it's the engineer in me. I design solutions for complicated problems. And I'm used to studying details other people ignore. So it's strange that I almost missed the subtle clues in my own home. My name's James Morgan, but everyone calls me Jay. I met Rebecca 17 years ago when we were both working summer jobs at a lakeside resort. She was a lifeguard, confident and tanned, always flashing this wild grin that made people wonder what she was thinking. I handled boat rentals, mostly fiddling with the engines and making sure everything was in top shape. We were an odd pairing back then, her, the outgoing flirt, me, the quiet tinkerer, but something about our differences just fit. We got married in a small ceremony near that same lake, had a few friends, a couple of relatives, plus my sister who insisted on a potluck reception. It felt relaxed, easy, and I thought it was a sign that our lives together would stay that way. The next real milestone was having our daughter, Chloe. I remember Rebecca being so excited, talking about how she couldn't wait to show our child the world. She'd place her hand on her pregnant belly and tell me how blessed we were. Chloe was born healthy and strong, and we found ourselves in this routine of early morning feedings and diaper changes that somehow never felt like a chore. We were this little unit, functioning together, Rebecca, me, and baby Chloe. Years passed in a blink. Chloe started school, and I found myself working as a design engineer for an automotive supply company. It was satisfying work, the day-to-day problem solving, the chance to see a concept turn into something real. My job let me indulge my inclination for details. If a client asked about our structural designs, I had every specification ready. If a coworker overlooked a small data point in a blueprint, I'd be the first to gently correct them. I was known for being meticulous, maybe even a little obsessive. I never thought to apply those same instincts to my marriage, but lately I've spotted signals that seemed off. A few weeks ago, I got home earlier than usual and noticed Rebecca's car was in the driveway. The house felt too quiet. I found her in the kitchen, her hair damp, like she'd showered minutes before. She looked startled when I walked in, offering an awkward laugh, explaining she'd just come home from her yoga class. I remember nodding, but a thought gnawed at me. Yoga ended at 4, and it was nearly 6. I brushed it aside. We all run late. These moments became more frequent. Once, I saw her phone light up with a number she quickly tucked away. "Work," she said, claiming an urgent call with a coworker about an upcoming event. Still, it felt off, like she didn't want me glancing at the screen. Another time, I picked up the landline to make a call and heard the tail end of her conversation. It was hushed. She hung up as soon as I spoke, then pretended she hadn't been talking. Just small things, but enough to make me wonder. I guess the biggest sign came on a Sunday morning when Chloe was working on a science project. She needed specialized cardboard tubes for a miniature roller coaster she was building, so we decided to head out to a hobby store. Rebecca declined to come with us. She said she was behind on laundry. When Chloe and I got back, maybe an hour later, Rebecca wasn't in the laundry room or even anywhere in the house. I found her in the backyard talking on her cell phone, sounding kind of breathless. She got off the call as soon as she saw me. "Laundry's in the dryer," she said, pointing to the machine through the open back door. I remember forcing a smile and nodding. Another small detail. The dryer was actually off. In my mind, I noted the contradiction and said nothing. Sometimes I wonder if I let these things slide too easily because life was otherwise comfortable. We've got a decent house in a nice neighborhood. A 3-bedroom, single-story place with a yard big enough for a deck and a grill. Rebecca's always been the sociable one. organizing barbecues and Christmas parties. Chloe is well-adjusted, a bright high school junior who gets straight A's without my having to bug her about homework. Despite any tension or oddities, there was still so much good in our daily routine shared meals, the occasional family movie night. Maybe I was reluctant to suspect anything because I didn't want to risk blowing up a life I thought was stable. In the midst of these small inconsistencies, Chloe and I worked together on her school assignments. She's got a knack for science, and while I'm more mechanical, I love that she inherited some of my attention to detail. She'd ask me for help analyzing data for a class experiment or how to build a more durable structure for her projects. We'd go into my workshop in the garage. She'd measure rods and angle them precisely, scribbling notes on a pad. I can't describe how proud it made me to see her so focused, so ready to learn and innovate. One afternoon, she was testing different surfaces for friction, sliding small metal washers down a makeshift ramp. I was cleaning the bench, glancing over occasionally. We talked about normal father-daughter things, her friends' upcoming test schedules, some show she was binging on Netflix. But behind her words, I caught glimpses of concern. She asked me if everything was okay with Mom. That's how she said it, so casually. "Dad, is Mom doing all right?" She seems distracted. I gave her an encouraging smile and joked that if her mother was truly busy with yoga class or volunteer work, that was a good sign. "Your mom's always liked being around people," I said. "She can never sit still, you know." But Chloe didn't laugh. She just fiddled with a washer, biting her lower lip. I realized then that she was noticing the same subtle changes I was. I wanted to tell her that everything was fine. I wanted to believe it was just the normal ups and downs a marriage goes through. So I patted her shoulder, changed the subject to the friction data on her notepad, and tried not to show any hint of worry on my face. That night, I tossed in bed, listening to Rebecca breathe. I felt an urge to hold her, but something made me hesitate, this creeping sense that we weren't on the same page. It's hard to explain how small lies can break the foundation of trust. The worst part is you can't pinpoint exactly when that crack first appeared. It's never a big shatter all at once. It starts as a hairline fracture. Then each suspicious phone call, every odd explanation, every hurried excuse deepens that crack. I still loved her, or at least I was sure I did. Memories of our wedding day, holding newborn Chloe, redoing the bathroom tiles together, they all played like a montage in my head. Each memory was a warm reassurance that we had been real and strong at one point. Maybe we could be again. But that tiny voice in the back of my mind, the same part of me that triple-checks design specs, whispered that something was undeniably off. I told myself I'd watch more closely. I didn't want to confront her without proof, because if I was just being paranoid, I'd cause damage for nothing. So I let it sit, let the tension rise. Looking back, I should have known better. Because when details don't add up in a blueprint, the structure is usually flawed from the start. "You're in a good mood," I said, glancing over at Rebecca as she breezed into the living room on Tuesday evening. She'd been gone the entire day, supposedly at an extended work meeting. Now she was kicking off her heels, humming under her breath like she'd won the lottery. "Something happened at the office?" She arched an eyebrow. "Just a great meeting, that's all. A big brainstorming session for our community outreach program." Her voice had a sparkle to it, almost like she was making fun of her own words. "We had a small victory with local sponsors." I nodded, managing a grin. She never used to keep work stuff secret. In fact, she'd come home complaining about budgets, incompetent coworkers, or the challenges of planning events. This time she was vague, smiling too hard, sidestepping details. My engineer's eye kicked in. People who overshare mundane aspects of their day but go quiet about specifics often have something to hide. I grabbed 2 plates from the cupboard and motioned toward the kitchen table. "I made some simple pasta earlier. If you're hungry, I'll heat it up." Rebecca glanced at her phone. "Actually, I grabbed food on the way. Don't worry about me." I shrugged. "Sure thing." Part of me wanted to ask what or where she'd eaten, but I let it go. Pressing too hard might tip my hand that I suspected something. She strolled into our bedroom, phone in hand. Through the thin walls, I could just make out the hush of her voice, probably texting or leaving a voicemail. She sounded excited. Everything about her body language was charged. When I finished tidying the kitchen, I went to the living room and found Chloe bent over a civics textbook, her brow furrowed. "Dad, do you understand how voting districts work?" she asked, frustration pouring into her tone. "This reading is insane." I plopped down beside her. "Gerrymandering, you mean? It's basically when—" And then I paused, hearing the bedroom door open. Rebecca walked out, phone tucked in her purse, face flushed as if we'd interrupted something. But she only offered a vague wave and headed outside, calling, "I'm going to water the flowers." Chloe twisted the textbook in her hands, looking uneasy. "She's been watering the flowers a lot lately," she whispered, half sarcastic, "especially the ones that aren't dying." I forced a small laugh and nodded. Maybe she's got a green thumb. Anyway, about these voting districts, I launched into a quick explanation, trying to sound normal, but the tension was thick. We both knew something was off. After dinner, Rebecca came back in and started rinsing off in the shower. I took the chance to check her phone on the kitchen table, only to find it locked. The passcode used to be our anniversary date, but apparently she'd changed it. My gut twisted. I slipped it back, annoyed at myself for snooping, but no less suspicious. The next day, Chloe had an early soccer practice after school. She walked to practice with her friend, a chatty girl named Savannah, so I had a couple hours alone before dinner. I decided to pick up some groceries. On my way out, I heard the quiet buzz of Rebecca's phone vibrating in the bedroom. She must have left it charging. Reflexively, I paused in the hallway. Curiosity warred with guilt. In that split second, I caught a glimpse of the screen lighting up. There was no caller ID, just a number. Before I could think it through, I stepped in and checked. A text bubble flashed on the screen's lock screen. "Miss you already. Let's talk tonight. Same time?" My heart slammed like a hammer in my chest. 100 possibilities collided. An old friend? A coworker? Or something else entirely? I didn't dare tap the phone or break into it. The tension in my temples built until I heard the front door open, Rebecca returning from a yoga session. I hurried out of the room, heading straight for the living room couch. She walked in, phone in hand, face neutral. She must have found it. "Hey," she said, setting her pink yoga mat down. "You headed somewhere?" "Grocery run," I said, trying to sound casual as I stood up. "Need anything?" She shook her head, flipping through some mail on the side table. "No, I'm good." Then she flashed a tight-lipped smile. "Thanks, though." I fled the house, anxiety trailing me. I tried to focus on normal errands, picking out fresh fruits, scanning for deals on cereal, but my mind kept circling back to that message. "Miss you already." It ricocheted in my thoughts, unstoppable. When I got home, Rebecca acted as if nothing unusual happened. She'd put on a cooking show in the background, occasionally glancing at her phone. I tried reading her posture. She had this strange grin tugging at the corner of her mouth, not the usual warm smile, but something sharper, as if she was amused by a private joke. Every time her phone buzzed, she glanced at me first, as if to check if I was watching. Then she'd swipe the screen. My stomach churned, but I forced myself to remain calm. Chloe soon burst into the living room, sweaty from practice. She tossed her soccer bag aside. "We lost a scrimmage today, Dad. I guess that means I'm running laps tomorrow," she groaned. "Hey, Mom," she added, waving before plopping onto the couch next to me. Rebecca offered an absent wave, busy typing something on her phone. "Sorry, hun, that's rough." She sounded distracted. I flicked the TV to a different channel, hoping to watch the local news. My mind wasn't really on the screen, though. I was replaying the line from that unknown text. "Miss you already." The words had a secret intimacy that stuck like glue. In the corner of my eye, I saw Chloe studying her mother, then shooting me a questioning look. I had to keep my expression neutral, as if nothing was wrong. But I knew Chloe could sense the vibe, the same tension that was creeping through the air day by day. Rebecca eventually tossed her phone aside and joined us for a few minutes of forced conversation. Something about how the traffic on her route to yoga class was horrendous, or how the neighbors wanted to plan a block party. She was too cheerful. It reminded me of how she'd been the day before, that suspiciously good mood. The more she rambled about trivial things, the more I sensed she was trying to cover up bigger secrets. After maybe 20 minutes, she got up and said she had chores to do. Once again, I saw that phone vanish into her pocket. My gut clenched, but I said nothing. Chloe looked at me, eyes lingering, probably expecting me to ask Mom what was really going on. Instead, I forced a grin and changed the channel again to some old sitcom I only half liked. The laugh track felt hollow, echoing in a house that was starting to feel hollow too. Later that night, I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, my mind conjured that text message in neon letters. The next morning, as I sipped my coffee, I heard Rebecca in the shower. She was singing to herself. That was new. She hadn't sung in the shower in months. Wasn't it weird that she was in such a good mood, yet we barely even shared a conversation that had depth? Chloe left for school around 7, tossing a casual, "Bye, Dad, love you," over her shoulder. She didn't mention her mother. I gave her a wave, noticing the worry in her eyes. Once the front door shut, the house fell silent except for the sound of water in the bathroom pipes. I swirled my coffee, took a few more sips, and realized that my hand was shaking. In all my years of meticulously solving design issues, I'd never felt so uneasy. Something big was happening behind that smile of Rebecca's, and I had a sinking feeling that soon it would be impossible to ignore. It's funny how life throws small curveballs that end up being significant. That morning, after a restless night of overthinking, I drove Chloe to school because she had a group project presentation. She was juggling a big poster, a box of visual aids, and her backpack. Even though she usually takes the bus, I didn't mind giving her a ride. I also figured it might distract me from the swirling doubts about Rebecca. We pulled into the school parking lot, the place buzzing with cars and students. Chloe hopped out, carefully balancing her supplies. "Thanks, Dad," she said, looking relieved to have a calm start to her day. Before she stepped away, I found myself wanting to ask if she was okay, if she needed to talk about anything. But a friend of hers waved from across the lot, and she left with a quick smile. I was about to drive off when I noticed a bright green sign near the front entrance. Volunteers needed for Environmental Field Day. A cluster of teachers stood by a folding table, handing out flyers to passing parents. My curiosity got the better of me, or maybe I just needed a diversion. I parked and walked over to see what was up. That's where I met Evelyn Cole. She turned toward me with a polite smile, dark hair neatly pulled back, a subtle warmth in her eyes that made her approachable. "Hi, are you a parent who's interested in volunteering?" she asked, gesturing to the sign-up sheet. I guess I wasn't expecting such direct friendliness, so I hesitated. Maybe? I'm James Morgan. My daughter is Chloe, junior year." I pointed vaguely in the direction Chloe had gone. "I'm not exactly an environmentalist, but I do know a thing or two about, organizing events." She laughed lightly. "Well, field day is maybe a fancy way of saying we're taking the students on a nature hike to collect samples for a science project. We need extra pairs of hands to guide them, keep them on the trails, help with equipment. No heavy lifting required, just presence and a willingness to keep an eye out." Something about her manner, the relaxed way she explained it. No pressure, put me at ease. A fleeting thought popped into my head. This woman's kindness felt genuine, not forced, not suspiciously cheerful, just real. "Well, I'm an engineer," I said, "so I guess I know how to keep kids safe around gear. That might help." Her eyes lit up. "That'd be great. You'd be surprised at the questions they ask when they're out in the woods. Having someone who can explain mechanical stuff or basic structure might come in handy." She handed me a flyer with the date and details. I took it, glancing at the bold text. The event was planned for next week, and parents were indeed welcome to assist. "I'll talk to my boss about taking the day off," I said, tucking the paper into my jacket pocket. "I usually have some flexibility." "Perfect." Evelyn offered a more personal smile this time. "I'm the main coordinator. If you can join, that's one more adult who can keep the group from wandering off into poison ivy. Believe me, it happens." She paused. "And hey, thanks for stepping over. A lot of parents just avoid eye contact and pretend they're late." I chuckled. "I used to be that guy," I admitted, surprising myself with the honesty. "But I guess I have a little more time to spare these days." She nodded, noticing the subtle sigh in my voice but not prying. "Well, James, if you have questions, my email is at the bottom of that flyer. Thanks again." I parted ways, feeling strangely lighter. I didn't get any signals that she was flirting or anything like that. It was just a pleasant, straightforward interaction, Maybe I'd gotten so used to tension at home that a normal conversation felt like a breath of fresh air. That evening, I told Rebecca about the volunteer opportunity as we sat in the living room. She was half watching some reality TV show on her tablet, headphones partly on. When I mentioned Evelyn's name, I noticed her posture stiffen slightly. Then she hit pause and slipped the headphones down around her neck. "You're going to help out with a bunch of high school kids in a forest?" She sounded more skeptical than curious. "It's just one day," I said, leaning on the back of the couch. "Chloe seemed cool with it, said she'd like having me around. Might be fun." Rebecca shrugged. "Fun, sure." She fiddled with her tablet screen, eyes flicking sideways at me. "And who's this Miss Cole, anyway?" "One of the teachers. Very organized, from what I can tell," I replied, keeping my tone even. Her eyebrows rose. "Huh? You never volunteer for stuff at Chloe's school. Now you do?" I tried not to let annoyance slip into my voice. "It's not that I never volunteer. I just usually can't because of my schedule. This time it lined up." She gave a short nod and returned her gaze to the tablet, unpausing her show. The conversation ended there, leaving an awkward silence. It was such a mild reaction, but I couldn't help picking up something almost like jealousy. Or maybe I was reading too much into it. After all, she'd been so cheerful these last few days about everything else. Now she was giving me that vaguely suspicious vibe. Outside, Chloe was finishing up a phone call with one of her classmates about their group project. As soon as she stepped into the house, she looked between Rebecca and me, sensing the tension. "What's up?" she asked, tossing her phone onto the coffee table. "Nothing," Rebecca said with a tight, quick smile. "Dad is just going to be a forest ranger for a day, that's all." Chloe blinked. "Oh, the field day thing with Miss Cole? That's actually pretty awesome, Dad." She grinned at me, then frowned at the forced cheer in her mom's tone. "A lot of parents are too busy or don't care. You'll like Miss Cole. She's super smart. Really patient, too." I shrugged, trying to appear casual. "I figure it's a chance to do something with you and your classmates. Beats sitting at my desk." Rebecca stayed silent, fiddling with her tablet again. Chloe hesitated, then scooped up her phone, presumably to avoid the friction swirling in the air. That night, as I lay in bed, I caught myself replaying the conversation with Evelyn. There wasn't anything romantic about it, but it felt refreshing, mostly because it didn't come with the weird tension I'd been living with at home. I tried to push the memory aside and think about the environment for the field day, or what questions the students might ask. But an image of Evelyn's friendly smile kept surfacing. Next to me, Rebecca scrolled on her phone. The screen's glow lit her face in the dim bedroom. She wasn't humming. She wasn't looking particularly cheerful. She was just quiet, eyes locked on whatever she was reading. I glanced at the time, realized it was close to midnight. Strange how I felt more awake in that moment than I had all day. Before switching off my bedside lamp, I peeked at the clothes hamper. Rebecca had tossed in that pink tank top she always wore to yoga. I remembered seeing her wearing it around midday, though. Another little detail that didn't match up with her schedule. But I pushed down the suspicion, telling myself, focus on facts, gather proof, don't jump to conclusions. The part of me that needed to see everything clearly was revving up. Yet ironically, it was the comfort of remembering Evelyn's handshake, her easy laugh, that lulled me into sleep. After a few days of restless thoughts and minor clues piling up, the last thing I expected was for Chloe to be the one to stumble upon something devastating. She isn't prone to dramatics, she's level-headed, maybe more than most kids her age. So when she came home one afternoon, pale as a sheet, I immediately knew something was very wrong. It was a Thursday. I'd gotten off work early to look over my finances. My mind had been too scattered lately to keep track. I was seated at the kitchen table with a spreadsheet open on my laptop, noting bills and paychecks, trying not to obsess about Rebecca's strange behavior. Then Chloe burst in, letting her backpack drop to the floor with a heavy thud. She pressed her back against the closed front door, breathing shakily. "Chloe?" I stood up so fast my chair nearly toppled. "What happened? Are you hurt?" Her eyes darted around as if she expected someone else to appear. "Dad, is Mom home?" "No, she said she was going to run some errands." Rebecca had left about an hour ago, claiming she needed groceries. "Chloe, talk to me." She drew in a long breath. Then she walked over to the table, hands trembling. I too left my phone in my locker after soccer practice. Went back to get it a few minutes late. Most of the hallway was empty, except I saw Mom with Mr. Davis. My stomach dropped. Mr. Davis, as in Mitchell Davis, the principal at Chloe's school. I tried to keep my face neutral. What do you mean, you saw them? Chloe lowered her head, tears brimming in her eyes. They were in his office. The door was partly open, like maybe they didn't realize anyone was still around. I only caught a glimpse, but they were really close. Too close, Dad. He was leaning over her, and she had her arms around his neck. They looked like, her voice cracked. It wasn't just talking. I felt the blood drain from my face, replaced by a sharp, metallic taste in my mouth, my worst fears crystallizing in my daughter's trembling words. Are you absolutely sure that's what you saw? My voice came out quieter than I expected. Her eyes flashed with pain. I know what I saw. They didn't kiss while I was looking, but they were all over each other, like he was about to. And Mom looked. She looked into it. I couldn't even move. I just kind of backed away and ran before they noticed me. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My mind raced, assembling every suspicious clue, every late-night phone call, every cryptic text message, every forced smile. It all suddenly pointed to Mitchell Davis. I whispered, "Oh, God," and sank into the chair. Chloe hovered by me, looking like she was about to cry. "Dad, I didn't know what to do," she said shakily. I didn't want to believe it. What if I'm wrong? But what if I'm not? I pulled her into a hug, feeling her tremble against me. My mind roared with rage, but I tried to keep calm for her sake. "It's going to be okay," I murmured, rubbing her back. "We'll figure this out." She stepped away, wiping her eyes. "Maybe we should ask her directly, or should we tell someone? He's the principal, Dad. That's so messed up." I closed my laptop, taking a second to steady my breathing. The engineer in me wanted to gather more proof, not jump to confrontation on just a single eyewitness moment. But that eyewitness was my daughter, and I trusted her more than anything. "I don't want you confronting her yet," I said softly. "This is complicated, and I don't want you dragged into a shouting match or something worse. Let me handle it." Her face twisted in guilt. "I feel like I've done something wrong already." "You haven't," I said, my tone firm. "You did nothing but see what you saw. That's the truth, and I appreciate you telling me. I'm sorry you even had to witness it." Chloe slowly nodded. We both jumped a little when the front door swung open. Rebecca walked in carrying a shopping bag from a local boutique. Not groceries. She froze upon seeing both of us standing in the kitchen, tension thick in the air. "Hey, guys," she said carefully. "Everything all right?" Chloe darted a look at me, then managed a forced nod. "Yep, I was just telling Dad about my day. I need to do some homework, so I'll be in my room." She grabbed her backpack off the floor and practically bolted down the hallway. Rebecca turned to me. "She okay?" She seemed upset. I pressed my lips together. "Teenagers," I said evenly, forcing a half smile. "Maybe one of her friends said something to tick her off." Rebecca didn't look entirely convinced, but she shrugged and started pulling items out of her shopping bag. A blouse, some earrings stuffed for herself, apparently. "I found a little sale at the boutique on the corner," she explained. She sounded calm. If she was messing around with Mitchell Davis, she sure didn't show an ounce of remorse or anxiety right now. I forced a pleasant tone, stepping close enough to see the new blouse was red silk. "Nice," I murmured. "Did you get anything else?" She pulled out a pair of fancy shoes. "They had a nice discount. Couldn't resist." Then she cast me a guarded glance. "Work's been so stressful. A little retail therapy helps, right?" I swallowed hard, trying to keep my expression neutral. "Right." My mind was swirling with Chloe's revelation. The mere idea that Rebecca spent the day with Mitchell, probably in his office, then popped out to shop for new clothes as if everything was normal, made me sick. She walked over to me, raising an eyebrow. "You seem distant. Is everything okay?" "Just the usual," I lied, picking up my laptop. "Bills to pay, errands to run. I might step out for a while." She studied me, as if checking whether I suspected anything. Then she tossed the new blouse onto the back of the couch. All right, well, dinner is whatever. We still have leftovers in the fridge. She said it casually, like we were just two roommates. I nodded and headed outside, ignoring the pang in my chest. Usually I'd stay, help her put stuff away, maybe talk about our days. But now, it was all I could do to keep from exploding, because the moment Chloe told me what she saw, it felt as if the final puzzle piece had clicked into place. Later that night, I was brushing my teeth when I heard a faint sound from Chloe's room. She was crying softly. My gut twisted. I rinsed my mouth and knocked gently on her door. "You okay in there, kiddo?" The sniffling stopped. "I'm fine, Dad," came her wobbly voice. "Just tired." I wanted to push, but I let it be. She'd already dropped a huge bomb on me today. If she needed a little space to process, I had to respect that. I patted down the hallway. Rebecca was in our bedroom, scrolling through her phone, the glow reflecting on her face. She looked up and offered a tight smile. "Heading to bed soon?" "Yeah," I said, flicking off the hallway light. "Long day tomorrow." She nodded, returning to her phone. The bed felt cold when I finally slid under the covers. I stared at the dark ceiling for what felt like an eternity. My wife lay inches away, each of us enveloped in our own secrets. Then, at some point in the silence, I heard the faintest sound of her phone buzzing. She turned onto her side, presumably checking a message. My heart pounded, remembering the text Chloe saw in real life, arms around his neck, an image I couldn't unsee. Somewhere close to midnight, she mumbled goodnight, turned away, and drifted off. I stayed awake longer, hearing the quiet hum of the heater, the distant rumble of a car passing outside. Eventually, exhaustion took over, and my eyes closed. But the last thing I thought of was a swirling blur of betrayal, a fear for what I'd do next, and an urge to protect my daughter from all of it. I've never known my daughter, Chloe, to be so jumpy. In the days following that tense night when I heard her crying behind her bedroom door, she's moved through the house like she's walking on eggshells. I notice how she avoids eye contact with her mom, Rebecca, and how she clams up whenever the name Mr. Davis pops up in conversation. It's late afternoon on a Wednesday when I get a text from Evelyn Cole, the teacher I'd met the previous week. She thanks me for signing up to help with the nature hike, which is scheduled for Saturday morning. The school wants to gather water and soil samples at a nearby creek for a science study. She invites me to an informal planning session at the school library tomorrow evening. "Just a quick get-together with other volunteers," the text reads. "We'll finalize safety guidelines and pass out a supply list." I can practically hear her voice in those words, warm, sincere, straightforward. Setting the phone aside, I glance into the living room. Rebecca is flipping through a fashion magazine with that same forced cheer I've grown suspicious of. She hums softly to herself, but there's a tension in her posture like she's on alert. It's weird how we've gotten stuck in this polite routine of ignoring the big, unspoken question, what's really going on with her? Clearing my throat, I walk over. "Hey, there's a meeting at Chloe's school tomorrow night about the nature hike. I'll probably head over after work." She barely looks up from the magazine. "Cool," she says, half absent. "I guess I'll do my own thing here." A pause. "Chloe going with you?" "I'm not sure yet. Might be good for her to see how it's organized, but it's optional. She's got a project for her civics class, too." Right. Rebecca flips a page, eyes scanning glossy pictures of designer shoes. "Have fun." I wait a beat, almost hoping she'll show some interest to ask who's organizing it or how the trip might affect Chloe's schedule. But she doesn't. She pretends to be absorbed in an article about runway trends. The air feels stale. With a small sigh, I head to the kitchen, letting her be. Chloe arrives home from soccer practice shortly after, sweaty and tired. She grabs a bottle of water from the fridge. "Dad, do we have to do any forms for that hike?" she asks between gulps. "Evelyn, miss, Cole mentioned we'd sort out final permission slips tomorrow," I say, keeping my tone casual. "I'm going to a short meeting at the library if you want to come." She looks uncertain, eyes flicking over to where Rebecca is still in the living room. "Yeah, maybe. Let me see if I can finish my group project first. If I'm not done, I'll just stay behind." I nod, noticing how she glances at her mom but doesn't actually say hello. Rebecca doesn't greet her either. This silent, invisible barrier between them is the biggest sign that something's really wrong. As Chloe sets her water bottle on the counter, I gently squeeze her shoulder. "Everything okay?" Her eyes flick up to meet mine. The haunted look there is enough to twist my gut. She musters a small shrug. "I'm fine. Just busy." She heads down the hall, and I'm left feeling that same swirl of anxiety. Mitchell Davis. His name lingers in my mind, though I haven't seen him in person since the day he walked by me at the school's front office, throwing a quick wave. It's possible I'm imagining connections that don't exist. But then again, Chloe looked genuinely terrified when she came home last week. She's normally so tough, not the type to get spooked over nothing. The next day, work drags. My mind is half on the job reviewing design specs for a new automotive bracket and half on the library session tonight. Around 4, I text Chloe, "You want me to pick you up from practice and bring you to the library?" She replies quickly, "I'll go. Don't want to be here alone anyway." When I get home, I notice Rebecca's car is absent. She left a note on the counter. "Out for groceries and errands. Back later." I read it twice, aware that it's exactly the kind of vague message she's been leaving these past few weeks. No actual mention of where she's going or when she'll return, just that she's out. My suspicions coil tighter. Chloe emerges from her room wearing her practice jersey, hair still damp from a quick shower. "Ready?" she asks, slipping her phone into her pocket. "Yep, let's head out." I grab my keys, and we leave. As I drive, I notice she keeps fiddling with the strap of her soccer bag, looking out the window with a tension in her shoulders. Something about her is so guarded now. I feel a pang of guilt. I used to be so sure that our family was rock solid, that I'd protected her from life's ugliness. Now that illusions are shaking, it's like a slow-motion collapse. We pull up to the school. It's early evening, sunlight stretching across the parking lot. A few cars are scattered around, likely teachers' vehicles. Inside the library, Miss Cole Evelyn is seated at a large table with a few binders and a stack of forms. She spots us and waves with that easy, genuine smile. "James, Chloe, glad you could make it," she says warmly. Next to her are 2 other parents, Mrs. Henson, an older woman with a bright pink scarf, and Mr. Ruiz, who looks about my age and nods in greeting. They're flipping through checklists of gear needed for the hike. Evelyn hands Chloe a short printout. "Here's your class's set of instructions, plus the sign-up for any extra tasks. You basically just show up with comfortable shoes and an enthusiasm for collecting water samples," she jokes. Chloe forces a polite grin. "Got it. I'll pass it on to my classmates if they have questions." As we settle into the chairs, Evelyn explains that the group will split into smaller teams along the creek. Each volunteer adult or teacher will supervise 6 or 7 students. I notice how she catches my gaze from time to time, as if checking if I'm comfortable with everything. Under normal circumstances, I'd be fully at ease, but I can't quell the underlying tension in my chest. Partway through, the door opens and Coach Trent Donovan sticks his head in. He's wearing a windbreaker with the school's logo, hair still damp from presumably a practice session. "Heard about the big field trip," he says with a crooked grin. "Just wanted to see if you folks needed any extra muscle out there." Evelyn thanks him but explains they already have enough chaperones. He shrugs, eyes flicking my way. "James, right?" he says, sounding casual. "Heard you're the father of one of our better soccer midfielders." I nod politely. "Chloe's a tough player, yeah." Trent chuckles. "I bet. Must be nice, having a whole family that's so involved. I see your wife's name around occasionally, too. She's, helped out with events, right?" His tone hints at something I can't quite read. I notice Chloe tense. Evelyn quickly redirects the conversation back to logistics. We wrap up after about 40 minutes. Mr. Ruiz and Mrs. Henson sign the final papers. As we stand to leave, Evelyn gently touches my forearm. "You sure you're okay with supervising? Some parents get overwhelmed with the rowdy ones." "I'll manage," I say, half smiling. "I'm used to problem solving." She gives a small nod. "I'm grateful you volunteered. Not everyone steps up. Chloe's class will benefit from it." Chloe thanks Evelyn too, though she keeps her voice subdued. We head back to the car. The sky has darkened, the glow of street lamps flickering on. I glance at my daughter as she slides into the passenger seat, and I sense she's relieved to be out of the building. Something about being inside the school after hours seems to unsettle her now. During the ride home, Chloe's phone buzzes with a text, and she frowns at the screen. "One of my friends asking if I know where Mr. Davis is," she says quietly, sounding uneasy. Apparently, he canceled a meeting with the student council. "Guess he had something come up," I reply, keeping my voice measured. Inside, my thoughts swirl at the mention of him. We get home to find Rebecca's car in the driveway, the trunk partially open with a couple of shopping bags. She spots us from the porch. "Could use a hand," she says lightly. Together, Chloe and I grab the bags. I notice a mix of groceries, a new blouse, and a couple of items that look more like gifts wrapping paper in a small card. She doesn't mention who the gift is for. Another question without an answer. As we unload, Rebecca spots the forms in Chloe's hand. "What's that?" "Permission slip for Saturday's nature hike," Chloe says curtly. "Dad and I went to the meeting." She breezes by, heading inside. I watch Rebecca's reaction. A flicker of something passes over her face, annoyance or maybe guilt. Then she says softly, "I'll sign the slip later. That's it. No questions about the event or about how the meeting went." An hour later, we're eating a silent dinner of takeout Chinese. Rebecca stares at the TV across the room while Chloe scrolls on her phone, and I poke at noodles with a plastic fork, my appetite gone. The hush in the living room feels like the calm before a storm. I catch Chloe's eye for a second, and she offers a tight smile like she's grateful I'm in the same boat but wishes she could jump out. We talk about nothing in particular that night. No one brings up the tension, the strangeness, the name Mitchell Davis, or any hint of infidelity. Yet the weight of those topics presses down on us. As I lie in bed later, I can't stop replaying the coach's curious remarks. "I see your wife's name around. What exactly does that mean?" My mind churns, trying to piece together a puzzle from half-hidden clues. And so, the next morning, I wake up more certain of one thing. I need to keep my eyes open. Something is clearly off. If I can't get straight answers from Rebecca, I'll find other ways to see behind her facade. For Chloe's sake and maybe my own sanity, I have to be sure of what's real. Saturday morning arrives with a chill in the air, perfect for a creekside hike. Chloe and I are up by 7, cramming backpacks with water bottles and extra socks. I can't deny a thread of excitement running through me despite all the tension at home. I'm looking forward to doing something Hanson with her. Maybe being out in nature will soothe us both. Rebecca barely acknowledges us as we head out. She's busy tapping away on her phone. "Don't wait up," she calls over her shoulder. "I have errands." No hug, no wave, nothing that suggests she cares about our day. Chloe gives me an uneasy glance as we slip out the door. We arrive at the school parking lot, where a yellow bus and a few cars wait. Evelyn Cole stands near the bus steps, clipboard in hand. Several students gather around, excited chatter drifting in the crisp morning air. She waves us over. "Good timing. We're almost ready to leave." "Awesome," Chloe mumbles. She spots a couple of friends from the soccer team and goes to join them. I can tell she's relieved to blend in for once. Evelyn hands me a list with 7 students' names. "They'll be your group," she explains. "We'll all hike together, but once we reach the creek, we'll break into smaller clusters to collect samples. Mr. Ruiz and I will rotate between groups to make sure everything's okay." I scan the sheet. These are juniors and seniors, kids I mostly recognize by face. All good kids, from what I've heard. "Got it," I say, stuffing the paper into my jacket pocket. "So I'm basically the adult supervision?" She smiles. "Yes, but also feel free to help them with technique if you know anything about water testing or data logging. We appreciate any extra knowledge." A short while later, the bus is rumbling along an old county road, heading out of the suburban sprawl into a more wooded area. Chloe sits in the seat across the aisle from me, occasionally glancing my way. I can't tell if she's checking in or just preoccupied. I notice that Miss Cole and Mr. Ruiz are up at the front, discussing the day's schedule, while Coach Trent Donovan, apparently tagging along for the morning, leans over the bus driver's shoulder, making some comment about the route. I hadn't expected Donovan to join, given Evelyn said they had enough volunteers. But here he is, wearing a whistle around his neck and a baseball cap pulled low. When we arrive at the trailhead, he jumps off the bus first, stretching his arms like he's ready for a workout. He greets me with a half smirk. "Early morning for a weekend, huh?" he says. "Guess we're all sacrificing a Saturday for these kids." I nod non-committally. The real puzzle is, why is he here if Evelyn said they didn't need him? Something about him feels off, like he's got a personal interest in monitoring who's participating. Within half an hour, we're traipsing down a narrow wooded path toward the creek. Autumn leaves crunch underfoot, and the students chatter in small clusters, half of them taking selfies or texting. Evelyn reminds them to watch their step, pointing out that the ground is uneven. I notice Chloe sticking close to her friend from soccer, Savannah, who's going on about how Mr. Davis made a weird announcement last night that he might be absent from Monday's staff meeting. My daughter's face tightens, but she just shrugs. We finally reach the shallow creek, a winding, rocky stretch of water lined by tall reeds and mossy stones. The air is cooler here, moist with the scent of wet earth. Evelyn gathers everyone. "Okay, folks, we're dividing into teams. Each team grabs a sample kit from my bin. Don't wander too far, and if you see any sign of deeper water, let an adult know." Her voice carries confidence, making me admire her calm leadership. She hands me a bright orange sample kit, and I beckon the 7 students assigned to me. We move about 30 yards upstream to a quieter spot. "All right," I say, reading from the instructions. "We need to fill these tubes halfway, seal them, label them with the location, then note the temperature on these forms." A tall boy named Brandon steps up. "I got the forms, Mr. Morgan," he says politely. "Chloe told me you're an engineer, so I guess you know your way around data, right?" I nod, trying to lighten the mood. "I do. Let's try not to slip on these rocks, though. I have zero coordination for that." They chuckle, and we begin collecting samples. The water is cold against my fingers, but it feels good to focus on something tangible. Brandon jots down data. Another student uses a thermometer strip on each vial. It's mundane, but it keeps my mind from spinning about Rebecca at least for a moment. A few minutes later, Coach Donovan meanders over, pretending to check on us. "Everyone good here?" He glances at me with a raised brow. "You sure you're not used to a more cozy Saturday?" I stiffen. "I enjoy the outdoors, Coach," I say calmly. "This is fine." He smirks, arms crossing. "Well, just remember, some folks might not appreciate you hogging Miss Cole's attention. She's a busy woman." Before I can respond, he winks and saunters away toward another group. The comment is so random it feels like a dig. Is he implying something about me and Evelyn? Or is he referencing something about my wife? My pulse quickens with confusion. I notice Chloe glancing over, brow creased in concern. I force a reassuring nod and continue helping the students test the water. Later, we regroup near the bus for a snack break. Evelyn and Mr. Ruiz are distributing granola bars, reminding students to stay hydrated. I overhear another teacher named Miss Jenkins, someone I don't know well, chatting with Donovan. She jokes, "Rebecca Morgan used to volunteer for events with Mitchell Davis, right? Those two were joined at the hip for a while." It's said in passing, but it jolts me like an electric shock. Donovan just shrugs, but I see a slight grin. My stomach churns. Chloe, quietly sipping from her water bottle beside me, must have heard it too. She clenches the plastic so hard it crinkles. Miss Jenkins continues, unaware of our reaction. I guess she's too busy these days to help with the hike. That's a shame. She heads off to corral a group of students who've wandered too close to a muddy bank. My ears ring with the phrase "joined at the hip." That's not the kind of talk you hear about casual co-workers. The possibility of an affair feels more real by the second. Chloe avoids my gaze, focusing on her phone. I can see her shoulders trembling slightly, though. Whatever she witnessed, it aligns with all these hints. My chest tightens with anger and heartbreak. "Hey, you guys need any help packing up?" Evelyn's voice startles me. She's standing behind us, a faint look of concern in her eyes. I guess she caught the tension on our faces. I quickly gather myself. "We're good," I manage. Chloe slips her phone into her pocket and nods, but says nothing. We finish the trip in a swirl of forced normalcy, riding the bus back with students who are either excited to share their data or just tired from being outside. The sun hangs low in the sky. Coach Donovan cracks jokes up front. Miss Cole thanks everyone for their time. Chloe dozes off in her seat, head propped against the window. I just stare at the passing scenery, mind reeling with Miss Jenkins's offhand remark. By the time we're back at the school, day has turned to early evening. As we step off the bus, Miss Cole waves goodbye. "Thanks for everything, James," she says softly. "Chloe, you did great out there." Chloe musters a small thanks and keeps walking. I can't muster much more either. Evelyn looks concerned but doesn't press. In the parking lot, we find the car. Once Chloe and I are alone inside, she speaks in a shaky whisper. "Dad, I just can't pretend this is normal anymore." I exhale, gripping the steering wheel. "We'll handle it, okay?" She nods numbly. The engine roars to life, and we drive home under a sky turning deep purple. I sense that a storm is coming, one I can't dodge. The rumors are swirling faster now, but they're rooted in a horrifying reality. It's only a matter of time before the truth breaks wide open. It's Monday night when Chloe finally unravels in front of me. Up until now, she's been carrying the weight of her suspicions and whatever she witnessed like a boulder on her back. I'm in the kitchen putting away dinner leftovers when she marches in, face pale, eyes determined. "Dad," she says, voice trembling, "I can't keep doing this. I need to tell you something important." I set the Tupperware aside, turning to face her fully. "Go on." She glances over her shoulder, paranoid that Rebecca might be lurking around. But I can hear the low murmur of the TV in the living room, so presumably her mom is half dozing on the couch. Chloe leans closer, lowering her voice. "Remember last week when I got home all freaked out?" She swallows. "I saw Mom, with Mr. Davis, the principal." My heart clenches. I'd suspected as much, but hearing the words leaves me cold. "What exactly did you see?" I ask quietly. Her eyes fill with tears, but she forces herself to continue. "I was grabbing something from my locker after soccer. Everyone else had cleared out. I passed by his office, and the door was partly open." She shudders. "They were close, Dad, like arms around each other. Mom was leaning on his desk, and he was touching her like..." She stops, cheeks burning. I feel my stomach drop, anger rising in my chest. "They were being intimate," I say, finishing for her. She nods, tears sliding down her cheeks. Suddenly, the whole reality slams into me. The rumors, Miss Jenkins's comment, Coach Donovan's innuendos, it's all real. Rebecca is entangled with Mitchell Davis, right under my nose, and my daughter had to witness it. Chloe exhales shakily. "I didn't confront them. I just ran. I still can't believe it. Dad, I'm so sorry." I pull her into a hug, my throat tight. "This is not on you," I whisper fiercely. "You did nothing wrong, do you hear me?" She clings to me, sobbing softly into my shoulder. For a moment, I close my eyes and let the swirl of anger and betrayal run through me. When she finally steps back, she wipes her eyes, jaw set. "I couldn't keep it in anymore. Watching you pretend everything's okay, it's killing me. Because I know you sense something's off." I nod. "I do. And I appreciate you telling me." My voice is low, steady, though my insides churn. I glance at the doorway to the living room. Rebecca is likely still there, oblivious that her daughter just confirmed her betrayal. "Chloe, I want you to let me handle this. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I promise." Her expression tightens. "But Dad, what if Mom tries to lie about it, or says I misunderstood?" A flicker of rage flashes in me. "I'll get the truth, and she won't be able to dismiss what you saw." I pause, measuring my words. "But for now, keep your distance, okay? Don't let her rope you into an argument. Stay safe. Let me figure out how to confront her, or do whatever we need to do." She chews her lip. "Are you going to talk to Mr. Davis, too?" I hold her gaze, mind spinning. "I might, but not yet. First, I need to calm down and think. You know me, I like a plan." A sad, brief smile crosses her face. "Yeah, you do?" She hesitates. "Dad, I'm scared. Mom's always been there for me, but now everything feels upside down. I don't want us to fall apart." My chest twists with pain. "I know, and I love you, kiddo. No matter what happens, we'll be okay." I hug her again. It feels like we're standing on the brink of a cliff, the wind whipping at our backs. I vow to myself I won't let Chloe get hurt any more than she already has. Eventually, Chloe slips away to her room, saying she needs to finish homework. I'm left in the kitchen, adrenaline coursing through me. My wife is in the next room, likely dozing off during some reality TV marathon. The thought of confronting her right now nearly makes my blood boil. But I promised Chloe I'd handle this with a plan, not blind rage. I remember once telling a coworker that engineering is about controlling variables. You gather data, do tests, observe patterns, then make your move with precision. It occurs to me that maybe I should approach this personal crisis similarly. I don't want to lash out and let her spin lies. I want undeniable proof, not just hearsay. Stepping to the sink, I rinse a plate under hot water, letting the steam rise. My reflection in the window above the sink is stern, unfamiliar. I hardly recognize my own expression grim, determined. I realize that my old illusions about our happy household are shattered. The question now is how far I'll go to hold Rebecca accountable. A noise from the living room startles me. The TV volume lowers and Rebecca's footsteps pad closer. Quickly, I pretend to be busy scrubbing a stubborn spot on the plate. She walks in, yawning. "Hey, everything good in here?" she asks, a hint of suspicion in her tone. I lift my head, meeting her gaze with what I hope is a neutral expression. "Yeah, just cleaning up. Chloe already headed to bed. She's exhausted from soccer." Rebecca nods slowly, eyes flicking around the kitchen. "I'm gonna turn in too." She hesitates like she wants to say more, but she doesn't. Instead, she just gives me a small smile. "Night. Night," I say, forcing calm. Watching her walk away, I'm struck by how normal she appears, how easily she can keep up this charade. Behind that smile is a woman who, according to my daughter, was pressed up against another man's desk not long ago. It makes me feel physically ill. I lock up the house, turning off the lights. In the dark hallway, I stand outside Chloe's door for a moment, hearing only silence inside. Then I head to my own bedroom, the sense of dread returning. Rebecca is already under the covers. She greets me with drowsy eyes, half-lidded. "Long day, huh?" "Yeah," I murmur, climbing in on my side. My mind is miles away from rest. My pulse throbs with anger, sadness, maybe even heartbreak. She flicks off the lamp, plunging us into darkness. For the next couple of hours, I lie awake, rehearsing possible ways to confront her and Davis. Should I catch them in the act, or corner them with direct accusations? Will she deny it, or blame me for not being attentive enough as a husband? My thoughts swirl in endless loops. Near midnight, a faint snore from Rebecca tells me she's out cold. I turn onto my side, listening to the hollow quiet of the room. The bed feels like it's splitting in two different directions, a gulf between us. Something fundamental has changed, and I know I can't go back to how things were. The next time I act, it'll be with purpose, with proof, and with the same meticulous attention to detail I bring to my job. Because if I'm going to expose this betrayal, I want to do it in a way that leaves no doubt. I barely remember the drive to work on Tuesday. My mind's still looping around Chloe's confession, playing it like a broken record. The good news is that at least she doesn't have to bear the secret alone now. But the bad news, I feel like I'm standing in an active fault line, waiting for the quake. By mid-afternoon, my phone buzzes. I check the screen. It's a text from Evelyn Cole. "Hi, James, just following up on the nature hike data. Are you free to talk after school? Some of the samples came back with interesting anomalies." I exhale, almost relieved to have something normal to focus on. The data logs we took might need a little sense-making, and that's something I can actually do. I text back, "Sure, I can drop by around 4. Meet at your classroom?" "Yes, I'll wait." At 4, I slip out of the office early, telling my boss I need to handle a quick errand. Driving to the school, I can't help but notice my heart pounding a little faster. Not just because of the tension in my personal life, but because there's a calmness in Evelyn I find comforting. The fact that she's willing to talk about everyday matters like water samples feels like a brief escape. I knock on her classroom door. She's alone, typing on a laptop near a lab station. Posters of chemical equations and planetary diagrams decorate the walls, the same warm environment I remember from last time. She looks up, smiling in a gentle way. "Hey, thanks for coming." "No problem." I shrug off my jacket. It's nice to have something straightforward to tackle. She opens a folder of printouts pointing to columns of data. We got the test results. A few temperature readings look off, but I suspect it's because the students took them after the vials had been sitting out. Could be user error. I scan the sheets. Yeah, that would explain a few anomalies. Also, if they left them in direct sunlight for too long, that'd skew the data. She nods. Exactly. So the question is, do we count them as invalid, or just note that they might not be accurate? The science department wants an explanation. We spend a few minutes discussing how to interpret the data. My engineer's brain locks on to the task, comparing the data sets, identifying likely outliers. At some point, Evelyn glances at me, her gaze more concerned than curious. You okay? She asks softly. My guard slips a little. It's been a rough week, I admit, carefully setting down the printouts. Family stuff. Sorry if I seem distracted. She shakes her head, sympathy in her eyes. You don't have to apologize. I just noticed you seemed more tense than usual. I exhale, debating how much to reveal. I barely know her in a personal sense, but something about her calm demeanor coaxes me to speak. I'm dealing with some issues at home, I say at last. Things aren't right between me and my wife. Evelyn tilts her head sympathetically. That must be hard. I won't pry, but if you need someone to vent to, I'm here at least in a friendly capacity. I give a shaky nod. Thanks. I appreciate that. A pause. It's complicated. And I'm not sure how to handle it yet. She offers a small smile, stepping back to her laptop. I understand complicated. Life has a way of tangling up on us. Her tone is gentle, not pushy. If you ever need resources, someone professional to talk to, or a community group, I can point you in the right direction. Our school counselors sometimes connect parents with help. My throat tightens at her kindness. That's good to know. I realize I'm standing there, hands jammed in my pockets like some restless teenager. Honestly, just hearing someone acknowledge that this stuff is hard is already a relief. Her face softens. I get that. We're all human. She sets down the folder. On a purely academic note, I think we'll mark those questionable samples as compromised and move on. No sense in letting flawed data overshadow the good samples. I force a small laugh. Makes sense. Use what's reliable. Discard the rest. She nods, but there's a flicker in her gaze that suggests she knows we're talking about more than just water samples. Exactly. Then she gently changes the subject to calmer territory. Upcoming events at school, the possibility of another field exercise next month, ways to engage students more in science. I find myself relaxing, momentarily forgetting the chaos waiting at home. But after about 20 minutes, she checks the time and sighs. I have a teacher's meeting in half an hour. I guess I should prepare. She hesitates, then adds, James, if there's anything else you need to talk about, family or otherwise, my door's open. The sincerity in her voice is impossible to ignore. Thank you, I say quietly. I might take you up on that. I gather the leftover printouts, deciding to finalize them at home. I'll let you know if I have any more insights on the data. She smiles and walks me to the door. Take care, okay? Nodding, I step out into the hallway, the echo of my footsteps the only sound. My mind churns with conflicting emotions: gratitude toward Evelyn, anger at Rebecca, heartbreak for Chloe. Something about having a near stranger show me genuine concern stirs up all the longing I have for what used to be normal at home. Real conversation, trust, warmth. Once in my car, I just sit behind the wheel for a minute, staring at the building. Inside that classroom, I almost forgot my family's unraveling. Now the weight returns, pressing down like a heavy blanket. Another text from Chloe pings on my phone. Mom's acting weird. Might go out again tonight. You okay? I type back, all good. I'll be home soon. Driving off the campus, I reflect on how easily Evelyn noticed my tension. If a teacher who barely knows me can read my stress, how obvious must it be to anyone else paying attention? Or maybe they don't notice, maybe they choose not to see. Just like how many people might have glimpsed the closeness between Rebecca and Mitchell Davis, but brushed it off as a harmless friendship. That question stings. Were they always this obvious, and I just refused to see it? By the time I park in my driveway, the sun's setting in a blaze of orange and pink. I linger a moment in the car, bracing myself for whatever awaits inside. My wife's secrets, my daughter's pain, my own slow-burning anger. Yet in the back of my mind I recall Evelyn's quiet words. My door's open. For a brief instant, I imagine a life where trust is easy, where you don't have to second-guess your partner's every move. But I shake off the thought, I'm still married, and I need a plan, one that respects Chloe's well-being above all else. I can't let emotion cloud the process. So as I lock the car and approach my house, I steel myself. Calm, observant, ready to gather every piece of truth. That's the only way to ensure the lies don't break us beyond repair. I know I can't do anything rash, not yet. It's a bitter truth that gnaws at me late at night. Chloe's confession has lit a fire inside me, a fury I can barely contain whenever I see Rebecca tapping away on her phone, smiling at messages she won't explain. But if I blow up now, I risk losing my chance to expose the truth on my own terms. So I decide to treat this like any other engineering challenge. Gather data meticulously, then strike with a fully formed plan. Step 1 is to monitor Rebecca's communications without her knowing. Our home Wi-Fi router, a model I installed a couple of years ago, can track devices connected to it. I recall that there's a basic log feature meant for parental controls. One evening, after Chloe goes to bed and Rebecca heads off for a late grocery run, I slip into my home office. My pulse quickens as I access the router's admin panel on my computer. Sure enough, it shows each device's IP activity. I see Rebecca's phone connecting and disconnecting at odd hours. It's not exactly damning evidence by itself. Everyone uses their phone at random times. But it's a start. I set up a custom script to store logs daily. No major hacking, just an advanced use of the tools we already have. As I save my changes, I notice my hands trembling. I never thought I'd be the type of man to spy on his wife. Yet here I am, stepping into the shadows. Next, I rummage in a box at the back of a closet for a mini digital recorder I used once for interviews at a previous job. It's small, palm-sized, and can record hours of audio on a memory card. Modern enough that the battery lasts a decent stretch. I test it with a few phrases, my voice echoing as I replay the file. The next challenge is where to hide it. I consider our bedroom, but that feels uncomfortable. Plus, if I catch them in there, it'll be devastating for Chloe. She's already traumatized by her mother's betrayal. Perhaps the living room is better. Rebecca often takes phone calls there in the evenings. If I can slip it under a sofa cushion or tuck it near the TV stand, I might catch stray conversations, especially if she uses the speakerphone or if Mitchell calls. I decide on the TV stand behind a row of old DVDs. The spot has enough ventilation so the recorder won't overheat, and it's hidden from normal view. The next day, I wait until Rebecca showers. Then, heart pounding, I slip the device in place, switch it on, and quietly walk away. I know it's not guaranteed to catch anything yet. She might prefer texting, but it's a step. If she does talk on the phone with Mitchell Davis inside our house, I'll have proof more solid than rumors. Data like temperature readings from a creek, only this time it's the temperature of a crumbling marriage. Meanwhile, Chloe helps in her own discreet way. While I'm focusing on audio, she quietly sifts through phone records for the family plan. She logs into our cell provider's site, checking call times and durations for both of us. We do share a plan, so it's not suspicious for her to have the password. As she scrolls, she jots down unknown numbers or frequent calls that show up under Rebecca's line. She's nervous, biting her lip each time she stumbles on a repeated pattern. One number appears over and over, usually late in the evening or during Rebecca's lunch hour. Chloe's face pales. We don't even need a name to guess who it might be. One Sunday afternoon, as I'm checking the Wi-Fi logs, Chloe peeks around the door. "Dad," she says softly. I found 18 calls from the same number this month." Her voice cracks. "That's the number I heard Mom talking to once. I recognize the last 4 digits." I inhale, trying to keep calm. "Thanks for letting me know, kiddo. We'll keep it between us, okay?" She nods solemnly. "Just, please, don't do anything that'll get you in trouble." I manage a reassuring look. "I promise, I won't." A moment of quiet passes, and I see the sadness in her eyes. She was never meant to be dragged into this kind of deceit. Around that same time, Evelyn notices a difference in me. I'm no longer edgy or lost in despair. Instead, there's a strange calm settling over me. Whenever she checks in, usually about something innocuous like a follow-up on the students' science assignments, I answer politely but with an undercurrent of intensity. One afternoon, she corners me outside her classroom, concern in her gaze. "James, you sure you're doing all right?" she asks, arms folded against her cardigan. "You seem resolved somehow." I guess I can't hide my new sense of purpose. "I'm okay," I tell her, quiet but steady. "Just, focusing on solutions to a personal problem." She studies me with those kind eyes. "Solutions, huh? Not revenge, I hope?" It's half a joke, but her tone suggests she's picked up on my changed demeanor. I manage a tight-lipped smile. "Let's say I'm after clarity," I reply, "no matter what form it takes." Her brows knit, but she nods. "All right. If you need to talk in a more direct way, I'm here. Just be careful, okay?" "Thanks, Evelyn. I appreciate that." I feel a flicker of warmth. She's possibly the only adult in my life who sees I'm in crisis and cares enough to check in. But I can't share too much. She might not support the lengths I'm going to. That night, I rummaged through the newly recorded audio on my computer. The recorder stored everything in compressed digital files. My stomach churns listening to hours of mundane background. The hum of the TV, footsteps, someone rummaging in the fridge. Then, at 8:46 p.m. on Tuesday, I catch something. The distinct ring of Rebecca's phone, followed by her whispered greeting. I turn up the volume. "Hey," she says softly. A pause. "I was waiting for you to call." Another pause. Her voice lowers further. "No, he's in the office. Chloe's in her room." Then a muffled laugh. "I miss you too." My heart pounds. This is what I needed proof. She's not naming names, but the conversation is intimate. The tone in her voice is the same suspicious cheer she's had for weeks. My ears buzz as I keep listening, desperate for something more explicit. But then the fridge door slams, and she must move out of range of the recorder. I only catch bits and pieces. Tomorrow, same plan. He'll never suspect, and we need to be careful. Enough to confirm she's sneaking around with someone. No mention of the man's name, but I don't doubt it's Mitchell Davis. I press stop, my hands shaking. This is partial evidence, at least. Coupled with the phone logs Chloe found, it's building a case. I realize that my sense of heartbreak has dulled, replaced by a cold determination. The betrayal stings, but I'm done playing the naive husband. Now I'm the husband who sees everything from behind the scenes. As I gather the recordings and notes, a plan begins to form in my head. If I can corner them at just the right time somewhere public, where the truth can't be denied or twisted, Rebecca won't be able to gaslight me or blame Chloe's imagination. I know from school announcements that a big pre-festival practice dance is coming up. The entire staff, plus some parents, will likely attend. Mitchell Davis will be there. And if I guess right, he and Rebecca might slip away together at some point. It's the perfect stage for confrontation. A slow, grim satisfaction courses through me. I'm not proud of it, but it's there. I feel like an architect drafting the final blueprint for a high-stakes build. One miscalculation, and the structure collapses. But if I get it right, I'll expose them in a single, brutal moment. I breathe out, switching off my computer. The darkness in my office feels oddly comforting, like I can hide here until I'm ready to strike. I recall Evelyn's warning. Be careful. She has no idea how far I'm willing to go, but caution is relative. Once the data is solid, once I know exactly how and when to reveal it, I'll make my move. Because I refuse to let Rebecca and Mitchell keep trampling over the life I built. 2 weeks slip by in a tense blur as I keep gathering bits of evidence. Each night I check the hidden recorder, capturing fragments of late calls. Chloe quietly updates me on Rebecca's phone logs. I piece everything together, forming a timeline of her clandestine talks with Mitchell Davis. At the same time, the school buzzes with preparations for the upcoming pre-festival practice dance. Students are excited for a chance to dress up. A preview of the official Harvest Festival next month. Parents can attend as chaperones if they like. I decide I'll go with Chloe. She's not thrilled she's never been big on formal dances, but she sees the determination in my eyes and agrees. Rebecca claims she can't make it because she's not feeling well. I catch the flicker of guilt in her expression. I suspect the real plan is to slip away with Mitchell. Perfect. Let them think I'm oblivious. The day of the dance arrives. It's a Friday. I drive Chloe to the school gym around 7 p.m. The place is decorated with faux autumn leaves, string lights, and a small stage for the DJ. A few staff members roam around, Miss Jenkins checking tickets, Mr. Ruiz arranging the snack table, and Coach Trent Donovan near the punch bowl. The coach spots me entering with Chloe and meanders over, wearing a smug grin. "Hey, Morgan," he says, voice carrying over the loud pop music. "You here to bust a move on the dance floor?" I force a chuckle. "Maybe just keep an eye on things. Make sure Chloe's good." He nods, but there's an edge to his look. "I was half expecting your wife to show," he drawls, "but I guess she's busy, huh?" A prickle of annoyance runs up my spine. Chloe shifts beside me, tension in her face. Before I can respond, Donovan lifts the ladle from the punch bowl and pours himself a plastic cup. He takes a sip, grimaces. "Could use a little something stronger," he mutters under his breath. Then he glances at me. "I might have a flask in my car if the night drags on." I don't bother masking my displeasure. "You're on school grounds, Coach. Might want to keep that to yourself." He chuckles, slapping my shoulder in a too familiar way. "Relax, buddy. I'm off the clock." Then he downs the rest of the punch, tosses the cup, and saunters away to pester some other parents. Chloe eyes me worriedly. "Dad, please don't let him provoke you," she whispers. "He's always trying to stir drama." I nod. She's right. My real target is Mitchell Davis, not this drunken coach. I squeeze her hand reassuringly. "Don't worry. I know who I'm after." She heads off to join a friend near the stage, leaving me scanning the crowd. I spot Evelyn in a modest but elegant dress, chatting with Miss Jenkins. Our eyes meet, and she offers a supportive half-smile, as if to say she's aware this might be awkward for me. I nod back, then resume my watch. As the evening wears on, I realize something's off. Mitchell Davis isn't in the gym. This is a major event, and the principal is usually front and center, welcoming parents, ensuring students behave. Yet he's nowhere in sight. My jaw clenches. Did he skip out? Or is he waiting somewhere else? About an hour in, Donovan reappears near the refreshments, definitely tipsier than before. His cheeks are flushed, and he's leaning on the snack table. A few students glance his way uncomfortably, but he waves them off. A faint smell of liquor wafts from him now. My pulse ticks higher. If he says or does something foolish, it might complicate my plan. Eventually, Donovan staggers toward me, a sloppy grin plastered on his face. "So, Morgan?" he slurs. "You're here alone. Your wife's off with someone else, maybe. Eh?" "I heard rumors." He waggles his brows. I stiffen, controlling the urge to snap. He's basically stating what I already suspect. I press my lips into a tight line. "You don't know what you're talking about," I say quietly. He snickers, leaning closer. "Oh, I think I do. That principal of ours, Davis, he's got his eyes on more than just test scores." He laughs at his own joke. "People see them around. It's not exactly a secret, is it?" A few heads turn toward us. The music swells, but I feel every nerve in my body screaming to take him outside and shut him up. Chloe, sensing trouble, suddenly appears at my elbow, gently tugging my sleeve. "Dad, come on. Let's go to the other side of the gym," she pleads. Before I can move, Donovan raises his voice, addressing the onlookers. "Hey, Morgan's too good for this crowd, huh? Or maybe he's just waiting for Mr. Davis to—" he hiccups. "To show up with Mrs. Morgan." I see red. But I recall the promise I made to Chloe. Not to do anything reckless. So I inhale, schooling my features into a cool mask. "Coach, I think you need some fresh air," I say, making my tone calm. He sneers, jabbing a finger at me. "I'll get fresh air when I want it, buddy. Don't you tell me." Suddenly, there's a commotion at the entrance. A uniformed police officer steps inside the gym, scanning the crowd with urgency. Coach Donovan pauses mid-rant, frowning. The music lowers a little, as if the DJ senses something serious. The officer's eyes land on me. "Is there a James Morgan here?" he calls. My gut twists. That's me, I say, stepping forward, ignoring Donovan. Chloe grips my arm, trembling. The officer approaches briskly, expression grim. Sir, we've received reports of a serious car accident on Route 22. Your wife's name was mentioned. We need you to come with us. Time slows to a crawl. My carefully plotted confrontation with Mitchell Davis gone in an instant. The entire gym seems to tilt. Chloe gasps, pressing a hand to her mouth. Coach Donovan blinks, sobriety hitting him all at once. A car accident? I echo, heart pounding. What do you mean, was she? The officer hesitates. We believe she was a passenger in a vehicle driven by someone named Mitchell Davis. They both appear to be in critical condition. We need you to come to the scene or to the hospital for identification and next steps. All eyes are on me. I feel a swirl of rage, fear, confusion. This can't be real. Just minutes ago, I was poised to unmask them publicly. Now, they might be fighting for their lives. I glance at Chloe, whose face is white as a sheet. Evelyn steps forward, eyes wide with concern. James, she says softly, I'll drive you. Or do you want me to stay with Chloe? Chloe looks at me, tears welling. Dad, Mom's hurt. Her voice quivers with disbelief. I swallow the lump in my throat, mind racing. Chloe, you come with me, I finally say, turning to Evelyn. If you can drive, that'd help. I'm in no state to focus on the road. She nods, placing a steady hand on my shoulder. The officer leads the way out of the gym. Behind me, Coach Donovan stands there, punch cup in hand, looking like he wants to vanish into the floor. The last thing I see as we hurry out is a cluster of students watching, their faces painted with shock and speculation. Outside, the night air is cold, hitting me like a slap. My plan for a tidy confrontation, my evidence, my anger, I can't even think straight. Rebecca is lying in a twisted car wreck with Mitchell Davis. All the truths I wanted to expose might be overshadowed by the question of survival. Evelyn drives, white-knuckling the steering wheel, while the officer's patrol car leads the way. Chloe sits in the back seat, quietly sobbing. My heart thunders as we speed down the dark highway. I can't reconcile the swirl of emotions inside me. Dread, pity, rage. I almost hate myself for not just feeling horror, but also a savage sense of cosmic irony. She left me for him, and now they're both in mortal danger. I grip the armrest, forcing myself to breathe. The glow of emergency lights appears up ahead. My chest feels painfully tight. However this ends, it's going to change everything. The policeman's announcement at the gym door throws everything off balance. But let's rewind a few minutes because there was a moment of confrontation that flared before the officer arrived. My original plan was to corner Mitchell Davis, or at least force the truth out of Donovan's loose lips. I'd been standing near the refreshment table, my phone set to record audio discreetly in my pocket, hoping to capture Donovan admitting details about the affair. If Mitchell Davis was in the building, I wanted to lure him out or catch him with his guard down. That was the trap. I wanted Donovan's drunken mouth to slip the final puzzle pieces in front of witnesses. Chloe, poised on the sidelines, was ready to back me if things got ugly. And indeed, the coach was hammered enough to talk. So you think your fancy job makes you better than me? Donovan slurred at one point, leaning in. Your wife doesn't seem to think so. She's got other priorities these days, right? My stomach churned, but I maintained a calm facade. Coach, maybe you should watch what you say. People might overhear. He scoffed, swaying slightly. Aren't you tired of ignoring the obvious? She's with Davis tonight, man. I heard it from the staff lounge. They left together. Probably hooking up somewhere while you're stuck here with your daughter. Kinda tragic, if you ask me. I clenched my fists. This was it, my moment to confirm, in public, the rumored affair. What exactly did you hear, Donovan? I asked through gritted teeth, making sure my phone was angled to record. Spell it out. He laughed, loud and cynical, and some parents turned to watch. Spell it out? Fine. Mitchell Davis and your dear Becky are screwing around behind your back. Everyone knows. Some of the teachers even joked that you're the last to find out. A hush fell around us. My heart pounded, half in rage, half in triumph. I was finally getting the public admission. The phone in my pocket vibrated, but I ignored it, focusing on Donovan. Chloe stood behind me, eyes brimming with tears, but resolute. She needed to see we weren't crazy or paranoid someone else was confirming the betrayal. Donovan was about to continue when he suddenly sneered at Evelyn, who'd approached from the side. "Oh, and now your girlfriend's here," he jeered. "I guess you two can comfort each other while your wife—" "Shut your mouth," I snapped, stepping forward. "You have no clue what's going on." He rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, Morgan. Everyone sees the way you look at Miss Cole. Are you any better than your cheating wife?" That was it. My vision blurred with fury. I heard Chloe's panicked voice. "Dad, don't!" But it was too late. Donovan crossed a line, bringing Evelyn into this. My fist connected with his jaw in a single, precise move, fueled by adrenaline and weeks of pent-up rage. The impact startled even me. He staggered back, slamming into the refreshment table. A gasp rose from the surrounding crowd. He sputtered, trying to regain balance, punch ladle clattering to the floor. Blood trickled from his lip. I could hear Miss Jenkins exclaiming, "Oh my God!" and some students screaming. For a moment I thought Donovan might retaliate, but he just stared at me with wide, furious eyes, mouth parted in shock. I felt a savage satisfaction coursing through my veins, but also a pang of guilt. I'd never punched anyone like that in public. Chloe's hand clutched my arm, trembling. "Dad," she whispered, "we have to go. This is too much." Before I could respond, that's when the police officer burst in, calling my name. The crowd shifted their attention from Donovan's bleeding lip to the authoritative figure near the door. The policeman's urgent tone overshadowed the fiasco of the punch. In the chaos, I realized my phone was still vibrating. I glanced down to see multiple missed calls from an unknown number. Then the officer repeated the words that froze my blood. "Your wife, sir. Car accident. Mitchell Davis. Critical condition." I turned to Chloe, who looked on the verge of collapsing from shock. The confrontation I'd engineered my big plan to corner Davis shattered in the face of horrifying reality. Evelyn, stepping in with a calm presence, said something about driving us to the hospital. Donovan, half sobered by the spectacle, stood off to the side, wiping blood from his lip with a shaky hand. No one cared about his ranting now. The entire gym was consumed by the revelation that the principal and Mrs. Morgan had been in a serious crash. As we rushed out, I caught a final glimpse of Donovan slumping into a chair, Miss Jenkins pressing a wad of napkins to his mouth, scolding him for causing a scene. My head spun with conflicting emotions. I'd just physically lashed out for the first time in years, and it was overshadowed by a tragedy. Everything outside felt surreal, the nighttime air, the swirl of red and blue lights from the officer's car. I heard Evelyn instructing Chloe to breathe, that everything would be okay. My phone beeped, a voicemail arriving. Numbly, I played it on speaker as we stood by Evelyn's sedan. "Mr. Morgan," said a shaky female voice. "This is Nurse Santos from County General. Your wife's been in a serious accident. Please come to the ER immediately." Chloe sobbed, covering her mouth. Evelyn hurried us into her car, pushing aside any pretense of calm. The officer would lead the way. I sank into the passenger seat, heart pounding, 1,000 questions swirling. Is Rebecca even conscious? Will she survive? What about Mitchell? I closed my eyes, the sting of the punch still tingling in my knuckles. A sliver of me felt guilty about the satisfaction I'd gotten from Donovan's humiliating downfall, but a darker part hissed that he deserved it for mocking my family's pain. Right now, though, it seemed small compared to the possibility that my wife might be dying. Evelyn fired up the engine. She shot me a worried glance. "We'll get there as fast as possible," she said quietly. "Hang in there, James." I nodded, numb. Chloe clung to my arm from the back seat, tears streaking her cheeks. My anger at Rebecca still simmered, but dread loomed larger. I'd spent weeks plotting revenge, collecting proof. Now everything was overshadowed by the grim finality of a near-fatal crash. As we tore away from the gym, headlights slicing the darkness, I tried to calm my racing heart. No matter how betrayed I felt, no matter how humiliating her affair was, I never wanted her to end like this. The last words I'd said to her that morning were curt, suspicious. I'd never forgive myself if the next time I see her, she's clinging to life on a hospital bed, and I didn't get to say goodbye. The car roared onto the main road. A swirl of thoughts battered my mind. What if she dies? How do I comfort Chloe? Will Mitchell Davis survive? And the darkest question, Does part of me hate him enough to wish he wouldn't? We arrive at County General Hospital in a screech of tires, the patrol car guiding Evelyn's sedan to the emergency entrance. Red and white lights flash across the ambulance bay. Medical staff hurry in and out with gurneys. The place thrums with urgent energy that makes my stomach churn. Evelyn parks quickly and I help Chloe out of the back seat. She's trembling, clutching my hand. The police officer, who introduced himself as Officer Alvarez, ushers us inside. "Come with me," he says, his tone grim but calm. "We'll find the nurse who called." Inside, the ER is a blur of bright overhead lights and antiseptic smells. A triage nurse points us toward a private waiting area, where a young woman in scrubs greets us. "Mr. Morgan?" she asks, glancing between me and Chloe. "I'm Nurse Santos. Let me take you to see the attending physician in charge of your wife's case." I swallow hard, heart hammering. "How is she?" I manage. The nurse's sympathetic expression is all I need to confirm it's bad. "She's in surgery," she explains, voice hushed. "Severe trauma to the head and upper body. We're doing everything we can." She glances at Chloe, who's gone pale. "There's a family lounge upstairs if you want more privacy. It might be a long wait." Chloe's eyes brim with tears. Evelyn puts a hand on her shoulder. I can't even begin to process the swirl of emotions. "What about Mitchell Davis?" I ask suddenly, the name tasting bitter on my tongue. I have to know. My anger says let him rot, but the rest of me is desperate for any detail. The nurse consults a clipboard. "He's also in critical condition, different surgical team. He had some internal injuries. They're prepping him for an emergency operation as well." Chloe looks like she might faint. I guide her into a chair. Evelyn kneels beside her, whispering words of comfort. My brain buzzes with the knowledge that the man who betrayed me is just down the hall in a state between life and death. It's too surreal. After a few restless minutes, we follow the nurse upstairs to a quieter waiting area with rows of uncomfortable chairs and a coffee machine that hums in the corner. I slump into a seat, elbows on my knees, face in my hands. Chloe sinks beside me, clinging to my arm. Evelyn stands near the doorway, watching over us. Everything feels heavy, like the air itself is thicker. The beep of machines, the rush of footsteps, muffled announcements over the intercom. Time moves agonizingly slow. A fresh wave of guilt washes over me. I spent so many days plotting how to catch Rebecca in her lies, never imagining we'd end up here. Eventually, a Dr. Mathers arrives, wearing a surgical cap and a weary expression. He sits across from us, posture tense. "Mr. Morgan, I'm overseeing your wife's operation," he says. "Rebecca has multiple fractures, internal bleeding. We managed to stabilize her vitals for now, but the next 24 hours are critical." I close my eyes, Chloe's grip on my arm tightening. "So she's alive," I murmur, "but it's not good." He nods solemnly. "Yes. She's facing a difficult recovery, assuming everything goes well. We've done what we can to address the bleeding, but the head trauma is our main concern. We'll monitor for swelling. If you're religious, you might ask for prayers. Medical science can only do so much at this stage." My daughter bursts into sobs, burying her face against my shoulder. I wrap an arm around her, numb. "Thank you, doctor," I manage, voice raw. He inclines his head sympathetically, then leaves to return to the operating room. Evelyn steps forward, tears in her own eyes. "James, do you need me to call anyone? Family, maybe?" I force a slow exhale. My parents are out of state. We haven't spoken in weeks. Telling them that their daughter-in-law might not make it is a phone call I'm not ready to face. "Not yet," I whisper. "I just can't." She nods, understanding etched on her face. Silence descends again, broken only by Chloe's quiet sniffling. Sometime later, maybe an hour, maybe two, Officer Alvarez returns, offering an update on the accident itself. "Preliminary findings say the car ran off the road at high speed, no sign of braking. Could be either the driver was distracted or a mechanical issue. We're investigating." Miss Morgan was in the passenger seat. She took a severe impact when the vehicle hit a tree. I flinch at the mental image. "Do you know if alcohol was involved?" He shakes his head. "We'll do a blood test on Mr. Davis if he pulls through. Witnesses said they saw the car weaving slightly, but we can't confirm cause yet. I exchange a glance with Chloe, who's staring at the floor. She'd suspected her mother might be meeting Mitchell for a secret rendezvous tonight. Maybe they planned a quick drive somewhere and never made it. Part of me almost wants to blame them for their own misfortune, but I can't bring myself to voice that cruelty. After Officer Alvarez leaves, Evelyn steps out to fetch coffee. I stay with Chloe, giving her every bit of reassurance I can muster, though inside I'm swirling with conflicting emotions. Relief that I never had to watch them publicly flaunt their affair. Anger that they forced me into this situation. Fear that Rebecca might die, ending our marriage with no closure. A nurse eventually invites us to see Rebecca, if only through a glass partition in the ICU. She's a tangle of tubes and bandages, barely recognizable. Chloe grips my hand, tears streaming silently. In that moment, I can't deny the wave of pity. Betrayal or not, she's the mother of my child. We built a life together once, even if it was a lie at the end. She's sedated, the nurse tells us gently. If you talk to her, she can't respond. But some doctors believe hearing familiar voices might help. Only a few minutes, though. Chloe trembles, stepping forward. "Mom?" she whispers. "It's me, Chloe." She tries to speak more, but breaks down, burying her face in my chest. I stroke her hair, my own eyes burning with unshed tears. Through the glass, I muster a few words, my voice shaking. "Rebecca, can you hear me? It's James." I stop, uncertain whether to say, "I'm here for you," or, "Why did you do this to us?" The nurse touches my shoulder, gently reminding me our time is up. We head back to the waiting area, where Evelyn quietly joins us. She gently sets a cup of coffee in front of me, though I'm too nauseous to drink it. The night stretches on, the minutes creeping like hours. Somewhere in the early morning, a different doctor emerges to announce that Mitchell Davis is out of surgery, but in critical condition. No visitors allowed except immediate family. I think of the man's wife or kids, did he have any? The thought stings. I realize I never even asked if Mitchell had a family of his own. All I ever saw him as was the man who seduced my wife. Now I wonder if he has relatives reeling from the same nightmare as Chloe and me. Despite everything, a flicker of something dark lingers in my chest. A sense of retribution. They wanted a secret life together, and fate struck back cruelly. That doesn't mean I'm not devastated. I sit there, shoulders hunched, Chloe asleep against my side, Evelyn leaning on the wall with exhaustion etched across her face. In this harsh, fluorescent light, I see the tangles of heartbreak and betrayal overshadowed by the fragility of life itself. Eventually, dawn filters through the windows, painting the corridor in pale gold. We're told no major updates. Rebecca's still in a precarious state. Mitchell, too. My plan to confront them publicly, the punch thrown at Donovan, the swirl of gossip back at the dance, it all feels miles away. Now it's just us, huddled in the ICU waiting room, uncertain if we'll be planning a funeral or a long, painful recovery. I gently wake Chloe, stroking her hair. She looks around in confusion before the realization hits this is real. I hold her tight. Evelyn watches, her eyes sad. None of us speak. In the silence, I try to steel myself for the next step. The anger still simmers, but there's also a strange relief that I didn't do something irreparable before this happened. I might still want justice, but now I see it through a different lens. Betrayal has consequences, sometimes lethal. I never asked for it to end like this, yet here we are on a collision course with reality. If Rebecca pulls through, I have no doubt the confrontation I planned will still come. But for now, all that matters is whether she survives the night. I'm staring at Rebecca through the pale glow of overhead fluorescence in her hospital room. She's propped up by pillows, head bandaged, bruises painting her arms a patchy purple and yellow. Just days ago, I was ready to destroy her in a more figurative sense, expose her affair, leave her with no defense. Now she's physically broken, but still has the nerve to look at me as though she's the wronged party. "James," she says, voice raspy from pain meds, "I swear it wasn't supposed to go this far." She tries to shift upright, wincing. "I made a mistake, one huge mistake. Can we just call it that?" My jaw clenches. Chloe is in the hallway, giving me space. The doctors allowed only one visitor at a time, and I figured it was time to get this conversation out in the open. But hearing Rebecca call this a simple mistake makes my blood simmer. I carefully set a manila envelope on the rolling tray table next to her water cup. Inside are printed phone logs, transcripts from recorded calls, photos of her car parked next to Mitchell Davis's at suspicious times, snapshots I took once I suspected their routine. Hard proof of months of infidelity, not a fleeting error in judgment. She glances at the envelope. What's that? Her tone is guarded, eyes flickering with fear. A reminder, I say, struggling to keep my voice low, that you didn't just trip and fall into an affair, Rebecca. You've been lying to me and to Chloe for a long time. Gently, I open the flap and slide out the top pages. They're simple call logs, dozens of calls to the same unknown number. I match this number to the same phone used by Mitchell Davis. Then there are audio clips of you whispering to him at home, thinking I was asleep. And these, I tap a few grainy photos. Your car at the motel off Route 16 next to his, taken by me around noon on a day you supposedly had a work meeting. One day in August, another in September, and so on. She pales, lips trembling. You were following me? Her voice cracks, part outrage, part panic. You gave me no choice. I remember all the nights I lost sleep, setting up trackers, reviewing phone bills. I needed proof, for my own sanity and for Chloe. She swallows hard, eyes flicking around as though searching for an escape. Two didn't mean to hurt you both. It started as something small. Mitchell had problems at home, I tried to help. Then it turned into something else. Anger flares in me. You expect me to believe you were comforting him and ended up in his bed? That's not a comfort, that's a betrayal. She grimaces, pain or guilt or both. All right, yes, I lied. But can't you see how sorry I am? Her voice quivers, tears slipping down her cheeks. I nearly died in that car, James. Doesn't that count for something? We can't fix anything if you're determined to punish me. I exhale a shaky breath. Part of me wants to recoil at the sight of her fragile state, to feel pity. Another part is stone cold, remembering the humiliation, the nights Chloe cried, the punch I landed on Coach Donovan when everything boiled over. You want to fix this? I ask softly. How do you fix the fact that you destroyed our marriage? She shudders, silent for a long moment. Then she reaches for my hand, but I pull away. Please, she croaks. We have a daughter. We can't just throw it all away. Let me explain to her that, no. My voice comes out harsh. You don't get to rewrite your story to Chloe. She saw you with her own eyes. She's the one who told me. Shock contorts Rebecca's face. Chloe knows? God. Tears trickle faster. She must hate me. She's hurt, I say flatly. And so am I, but that doesn't change what comes next. Her gaze flits to the envelope again. What do you want from me? I stand straighter, ignoring the pity tugging at my chest. I want you to understand that I'm not letting this go, I murmur. I'm filing for divorce. I have enough evidence to prove you committed adultery. Our state's laws still factor that in, and I have no intention of letting you off easy. She inhales sharply, eyes wide. James, wait, look at me. I can barely walk. I can't handle legal battles right now. She coughs, wincing. Can't you show some mercy? Mercy. The word stings. Did she consider mercy when she snuck off with Mitchell Davis, leaving Chloe and me behind? Nevertheless, I temper my voice. I'm not trying to kill you, but you can't expect me to pretend this never happened. A lawyer's coming by with the initial paperwork tomorrow. She droops back against her pillows, tears streaming silently. Please, James, don't do this. Mitchell promised me so many things. But after the accident, I see now how pointless it was. I just want my family. I want to come home. I feel a pang in my chest at the memory of how we used to be a family movie nights, random barbecues in the backyard. But the envelope on the tray table reminds me of her deceit. Home, I whisper, is the place you shattered the minute you let him in. There's no going back. She hides her face in her hands, sobbing softly. Maybe she's truly remorseful, or maybe she's just terrified of losing everything. I can't tell, and maybe it doesn't matter. Summoning my resolve, I grab the envelope and turn to leave. At the door, I speak over my shoulder, voice hollow. From now on, let's keep it civil. We're parents, but I'm never trusting you again. Before she can respond, I slip into the hallway. Chloe is there, arms folded, eyes rimmed red from waiting. I just nod and we head out, the squeak of my sneakers echoing in the corridor. Past a set of double doors, I spot Mitchell Davis's name on a patient chart pinned to a partition. My stomach churns. I haven't visited him, nor do I intend to, but I'm sure we'll cross paths soon enough. As Chloe and I ride the elevator down, she asks softly, "Dad, did you tell her about the divorce?" "Yes," I say, resting a hand on her shoulder. "She knows what's coming." Chloe nods, expression pained. "I'm sorry it ended up like this." I squeeze her shoulder gently. "Me too, kiddo, but I can't let it slide." We exit onto the ground floor, the swirl of hospital traffic around us. My mind races with the weight of the confrontation. That envelope felt heavier than it was, like the tangible proof of everything I lost. The only solace is that I'm no longer in limbo. The next step is certain: calling my lawyer, finalizing the suit, because the evidence is on the table now, and I'm done bending to her excuses. Monday morning, I'm seated in a modest law office that smells faintly of coffee and floor polish. Erin Voss, my attorney, is flipping through the thick stack of documents I handed over. She's a woman in her late 40s with a calm demeanor, silver-streaked hair pulled into a sleek ponytail. Her reading glasses perch on the end of her nose, and occasionally she nods, letting out a low hum of acknowledgement. "All right," she says at length, closing the folder carefully. "This is quite comprehensive, James. Phone logs, photographs, even partial audio transcripts. It's a substantial case for adultery." I nod, swallowing the nerves that have knotted in my throat. "I want to make sure there's no room for denial. Rebecca's in the hospital, so physically she's vulnerable, but I'm not dropping it. I need a divorce." Erin taps her pen lightly on the desk. "I understand. The question is, are we looking for an aggressive approach seeking maximum leverage for spousal support, the family home, custody of your daughter? Or do we want a cleaner break with the emphasis on ensuring your legal protection?" My mind returns to Chloe, how she's been so anxious at home. I know she doesn't want a drawn-out legal war, but I also can't let Rebecca walk away unscathed, especially if Mitchell tries to bury the scandal to protect his career. "I need to keep custody of Chloe," I say firmly. "She's old enough to express her preference, and she's on my side. As for spousal support, I want to ensure Rebecca can't drain me. Also, I want it on record that she was at fault. I'd rather not see her get half of everything after what she did." Erin nods. "Understood. In our state, fault-based divorces can influence property division. You have strong evidence of adultery, so that tips negotiations in your favor. We'll also request that you retain the marital home. If your daughter is comfortable staying with you, that helps your argument." "Exactly." I exhale. "What about Mitchell Davis? He was part of this. If he tries to intervene or manipulate the situation," she raises a brow, "he's not the spouse in this equation, so he doesn't have direct say in property or custody. But he might get involved if your wife tries to blame him for everything, or if he tries to keep his job. You mentioned he's a school principal, correct?" I nod, recalling the humiliating confrontation with him in my mind, plus the fiasco at the dance. "He's in the hospital too, but from what I hear, still conscious enough to worry about damage to his reputation." Erin offers a small, sympathetic smile. "He might attempt to influence your wife's decisions or push for an out-of-court settlement that keeps his name out of official records. But let's keep that in mind as we draft the complaint. If your wife tries to muddy the waters, we can leverage the threat of naming him more publicly." A small, grim satisfaction stirs in me. Yes, that's exactly what I need. The threat of exposure to ensure they can't wriggle out. "Good," I say. "I'm prepared to do whatever it takes." "All right then," Erin says, pulling out a new file. "Let's outline the formal request. Full custody, awarding you the house, no spousal support owed to her due to fault-based grounds. Possibly request she contributes to child support if needed." She pauses, scribbling notes. "Are you certain about that last part? She might not have a stable income if she can't work for a while." The question tugs at my conscience, but I push it aside. She put herself in that position, I murmur. I'm not going to be cruel for the sake of it, but I also can't let her off easily. Erin nods, continuing to jot down notes. I'll finalize the complaint. Once it's filed, we can expect her lawyer assuming she hires one to respond. Settlement negotiations usually follow. Let's be ready for her to flip-flop between apologetic and defensive. That stings because it's probably true. I know, I say, clenching my fists. She's already tried that in the hospital. First crying that she's sorry, then acting like I'm the monster for wanting a divorce. We talk a bit longer, going over legal fees and time frames. My head spins with the reality of it all. This is no longer just a suspicion or an emotional standoff. It's a legal battle. Once I sign these documents, it's official. By the time I leave the law office, my phone buzzes. It's a message from Chloe. How'd the lawyer meeting go? You okay? My chest tightens, remembering how she's been roped into this as a witness to the affair. She never deserved that burden. I reply, went fine. We'll talk at home. Love you. Driving away, I can't help noticing how different the sky looks compared to my last trip into the city. It's a bright, cloudless day, but everything feels overshadowed by my impending divorce proceedings. The sense of relief that I'm taking action mixes with a pang of sorrow for the life we once had. When I get home, Chloe is in the kitchen, staring at the fridge magnets. She turns anxiously as I walk in. Dad, you look exhausted. I let out a wry laugh, leaning against the counter. It's draining, yeah, but it's the right move. I'm officially filing for divorce. Your mom will be served papers soon enough. My throat constricts. I'm sorry, kiddo. I know this is a mess. Her eyes fill with tears, but she forces a sad smile. I just want all this to be over. I'm tired of feeling like I'm stuck in some horrible soap opera. She glances at the half-empty coffee pot. Need any? Sure, I say, welcoming the excuse for a warm beverage. She pours a mug for me. The simple father-daughter moment steadies me a bit. As I take my first sip, the doorbell rings. My pulse jumps. Any surprise visitor right now spikes my anxiety. Chloe peers out the window. It's Mr. Ruiz from school. Weird. Confused, I open the door. Mr. Ruiz, the teacher who helps organize field trips, stands there with a forced smile. James, sorry to bother you. I was in the neighborhood. Wanted to see how Chloe's doing. Also, the staff has been curious about the principal. He coughs awkwardly. We heard about the accident and the rumors that your wife was involved. My jaw tightens. Another teacher looking for gossip, or maybe feeling genuine concern. I offer a polite nod. She's stable but still in the hospital. The details of the accident are complicated. He lowers his voice. I'm not prying, I swear. It's just there's talk that Mitchell Davis might not come back. The district is in turmoil. I wanted to check if you or Chloe needed anything. His eyes flick inside, spotting Chloe. Chloe steps forward, trying to smile. Thanks, Mr. Ruiz. We're managing. He hesitates, then nods. All right. If you need support from the school, let us know. And, sorry for intruding. With that, he departs, leaving me with the uneasy reminder that everyone at school is aware. The meltdown of my marriage is basically an open secret. I shut the door, leaning against it. More curiosity than help, probably, I mutter to Chloe. She sighs. I guess it won't stay quiet for long. She eyes me. You still sure about fighting Mom in court? She's so weak right now. Guilt gnaws at me, but I recall the envelope of proof, the heartbreak, the countless lies. I can't just let it slide, I whisper, voice tight. Maybe that sounds heartless, but we have to stand up for ourselves. Chloe bites her lip, then nods. I get it. She sets a hand on my shoulder before heading upstairs, letting me brood alone in the living room. I sink onto the couch, the echo of the lawyer's office in my ears. We'll also request that you retain the marital home. That used to be our shared safe haven, now a battleground. Let her see the consequences. Because once the gears of this legal machine start turning, I won't let them stop until I have the outcome I need. I stand in the hospital corridor, staring at a sign that reads, Surgery Recovery Ward. Mitchell Davis is somewhere beyond these double doors, fresh out of yet another procedure. Rumor says he has severe internal damage, and the doctors aren't sure about his long-term prospects. Part of me wants to barge in, demand answers, shout at him for everything he's done. Another part wonders if that makes me just as heartless. I turn away, heading down to the ICU lounge. Rebecca's been moved to a different floor where she's awake more frequently. This entire place feels like a second home to me now. The nurses greet me with pitying looks every time I pass the station. If only they knew the entire story. I pause near a vending machine, rummaging for change, and hear a hushed argument around the corner. Carefully, I step closer, heart thudding. It's Rebecca. She must have used a wheelchair to come out from her room, and she's talking to a man I don't recognize. He's tall, wearing a cheap suit. Possibly a lawyer? I catch snippets of their conversation. "I'm telling you," she hisses, her voice still weak. "James has me cornered. He's going to mention Mitchell's name in the divorce if we don't settle quietly. I can't let that ruin me." The man sighs, flipping through a briefcase. "Rebecca, we can try to claim duress, or that you were emotionally manipulated by Mitchell Davis. But if your husband's evidence is as strong as you say, it won't hold up well in court." She moans in frustration. "I can't keep paying for a big legal fight. My insurance is barely covering the medical bills, and James wants the house. I have nowhere else to go." The lawyer's voice is low, but I can still make out his words. "Then we may need to approach Mitchell for financial assistance or hush money. He has more to lose if this affair goes public at the district level. Let's see if we can talk him into supporting your settlement." A cold wave washes over me. So they're planning to strong-arm Mitchell into paying out? It's twisted he was the co-cheater. Now they want him to fix the mess. My fists tighten. Part of me hates them both more than ever. Another part sees how desperation is fueling Rebecca's every move. Stepping back, I abandon the vending machine idea and walk away before they notice. My head throbs with a mix of anger and grim satisfaction that the collateral damage is hitting them hard. They wanted each other so badly. Now they face possible ruin. Down the hallway, I spot a familiar figure, Evelyn. She's leaning by a window, arms crossed over her simple cardigan, gaze fixed on the hospital's courtyard below. When I approach, she meets my eyes, concern etched on her face. "Hey," she says softly. "I was checking on Chloe. She's in the cafeteria, needed some air. How are you holding up?" Her gentle tone breaks through my guarded stance. I let out a shaky breath. "I overheard Rebecca with her lawyer. She's broke, trying to see if Mitchell will bail her out. They want to hush me with money, maybe." Evelyn's lips tighten. "That's awful. I'm sorry." She hesitates, then places a hand lightly on my forearm. "Look, I know you have every right to be furious, but I also see how this is tearing you apart." I search her eyes, seeing genuine sympathy. "I can't let them skate by," I say, a tremor in my voice. "I've come too far to back down." She nods. "I get that. Just promise me you'll think about how far you want to push, especially for Chloe's sake." Her gaze flickers with worry. I don't want her traumatized by an all-out legal war. My throat feels tight. "This isn't about revenge for revenge's sake," I say defensively, though maybe it's half true. "But I can't ignore what they did. I can't let them humiliate us and walk away." Evelyn squeezes my arm gently. "I'm not saying drop it. Just keep your daughter in mind. She's got to testify, right? That's a lot of weight on her shoulders." I nod grimly, recalling how Chloe insisted she'd do anything to support me. "She's strong," I say quietly, "but I hate dragging her through depositions or court appearances." Evelyn's expression softens further. "James, you deserve a new start after all this. Just don't let bitterness consume you." A flicker of guilt stirs in my gut. "Yeah, I know." My voice drops. "Thank you for caring enough to say that." She offers a small, sad smile. "I do care." A pause. "You and Chloe matter. A lot." Then she glances at her watch. "I should check on her. You'll be okay?" I nod. "I'm just going to see if the nurses can give me an update on Rebecca's condition. Then I'll be out of here." Evelyn leaves, footsteps echoing. I realize how her presence always gives me a moment of clarity, reminding me that this war I'm waging has consequences for everyone around me. My moral compass flickers. Am I going too far? I head to the nurse's station, where a kindly older nurse, Miss Green, recognizes me. "James," she says gently. "Rebecca's stable. She might be discharged for physical rehab soon." I blink. "Really? That's fast." She nods. She's healing, even if it's slow. Once she's out, she'll need extensive therapy at home or an outpatient center. The nurse leans in, voice low. She seemed upset today, though. Something about legal troubles. I hope you two can find peace. I muster a polite thanks, not wanting to dive into details. Peace seems impossible right now. My phone buzzes Aaron Voss, my lawyer, texting me. Rebecca's attorney reached out. They want an urgent negotiation, possibly a private settlement. Let's meet tomorrow. So it begins. They want to hush me, hush the scandal, hush the ramifications for Mitchell and for Rebecca's precarious finances. My hands shake a little as I type back, understood. Let's talk in the morning. On my way out, I pass the waiting area where Chloe and Evelyn are finishing up coffees. Chloe tries a half-smile my way. I give her a reassuring nod, letting her know we can head home soon. Meanwhile, Evelyn catches my eye as if to say, remember what I said, don't destroy yourself with anger. We leave the hospital as evening falls, headlights sweeping across the parking lot. The ride home is tense but calmer than before. Chloe stares at the passing lights, lost in her own thoughts. I grip the steering wheel, mind spinning with the news. Rebecca might be out soon, meaning negotiations will escalate. My phone logs, audio files, pictures, it's all ready to be shown in court if necessary. That night, as I'm reviewing documents at the dining table, Chloe quietly approaches. Dad, she says, sounding small. I'm going to testify, right? About how I saw them, in his office. I rub my tired eyes. Yes, if we go to trial, it might be the strongest evidence of direct wrongdoing. But maybe we'll settle first so you won't have to. She looks both relieved and worried. Part of me wants to stand up there and let everyone know Mom messed up, but another part wishes I never had to say anything. A pang of sympathy hits me. I know, I'm sorry. I stand, hugging her gently. We'll figure it out. Just don't lose yourself, okay? We'll come out the other side of this. She nods, blinking back tears. I just want to move on. Her words echo Evelyn's advice about not letting the battle consume me. But as I sit back down, flipping through Aaron's notes, I can't ignore the slow burn of retribution in my chest. Rebecca's about to face the worst of it, and Mitchell Davis's fate might be even worse. If that's the cost of me and Chloe finding peace, maybe it's a price I'm willing to pay. The courthouse lobby is surprisingly quiet this afternoon. Most of the divorce cases here happen behind closed doors, private negotiations, a few quick hearings for uncontested matters. But my case has all the tension of a drawn-out war, culminating in this final push. Chloe sits beside me on a wooden bench, hands twisting in her lap. She's wearing a simple blouse and jeans, trying to look more grown-up in case the judge calls her in. Aaron stands nearby, checking her watch. Rebecca and her lawyer are late, she mutters, flipping through the divorce complaint's final draft. Your evidence is all set, correct? I nod, tapping the briefcase at my feet. Inside is a curated list of phone records, the best audio transcripts, and the photographic proof. Enough to bury them if they contest. Yes, I say quietly. I'm ready. 5 minutes later, we see a wheelchair approaching from the hallway. Rebecca looks thinner, face drawn, hair pinned back carefully. Her lawyer, the same man I overheard at the hospital, wheels her in with a guarded expression. I stand, swallowing the knot in my throat. Chloe averts her gaze, eyes brimming with conflicting emotions. Rebecca manages a shaky breath. James, she says, voice tinged with exhaustion, let's just get this over with. Her lawyer nods stiffly at Aaron, and the four of us proceed to a small conference room. The judge is letting us attempt a final settlement before any formal hearing. This is the last chance to avoid a public trial. We settle around a table. The fluorescent lights cast a harsh glare on everyone's faces. Judge Brinkley, a stern-faced woman in her 60s, presides with a stack of papers. Good afternoon, she says, scanning the divorce complaint. I see fault-based grounds here. Adultery is alleged with substantial evidence. Are we attempting a settlement? Aaron speaks for me. Yes, Your Honor. We intend to present all evidence if a settlement can't be reached. Mr. Morgan seeks full custody of Chloe, retention of the marital home, and no spousal support to Mrs. Morgan. Rebecca's lawyer interjects. We dispute the need for a fault-based claim. My client acknowledges an inappropriate relationship but believes there are mitigating circumstances. She's also in poor health post-accident and requires resources for rehabilitation. The judge's eyes flick between us. Is Miss Morgan seeking spousal support or shared assets? Rebecca looks down, voice trembling. I can't work right now. I need help to cover my medical costs. I'm not trying to be greedy, but I deserve something. Aaron calmly replies, We have evidence she has support from a third-party Mitchell Davis who's partially responsible for her current situation. We argue that Mr. Morgan shouldn't bear the financial burden alone. A flicker of panic crosses Rebecca's features. She glances at me, tears forming. Please, James, I can't rely on Mitchell. He's in worse shape than I am, and he's facing potential job loss. Don't do this. Chloe, beside me, clenches her fists. Judge Brinkley notices and addresses her gently. Young lady, are you Chloe Morgan? She nods, biting her lip. The judge sighs. If you prefer not to speak, that's fine. But I understand you witnessed events relevant to the affair. Chloe's voice trembles, but she speaks up. Yes, ma'am. I saw my mom and Mr. Davis being intimate in his office. That's how I found out. She swallows hard. It broke our family. Rebecca shuts her eyes, tears rolling down her cheeks. Her lawyer looks increasingly flustered. He attempts a final argument. Your Honor, my client is remorseful. She's physically incapacitated. She requests a modest monthly support from Mr. Morgan and partial equity in the home. Aaron slides a folder across the table to the judge. Your Honor, we have phone logs and photographic proof of repeated adultery. Miss Morgan's request for any spousal support is unjust. She forfeited that claim by betraying their vows. We do not intend to leave her homeless, but we propose that Mr. Morgan keeps the house to provide stability for Chloe. Miss Morgan can relocate to an apartment or another arrangement. If they settle, Mr. Morgan is even willing to forego demanding child support from Miss Morgan, so long as she doesn't request spousal support from him. Judge Brinkley flips through the folder, brow furrowing at the evidence. She nods slowly. I see. Miss Morgan, do you understand the terms? Essentially, you relinquish rights to the marital home and spousal support, but you won't be chased for child support. You share in any debts you co-signed for, but Mr. Morgan keeps the property and the primary custody. Rebecca trembles, turning haunted eyes to me. That's it? You're leaving me with nothing? I meet her gaze, ignoring the pang in my chest. You left Chloe and me with nothing but lies. Be thankful I'm not pushing for more. You can keep your personal items, your car, and your dignity such as it is. Her lip quivers. The judge clears her throat. Miss Morgan, do you accept? If not, we can proceed to a full trial, and this evidence will become public record. Considering both your health and Mr. Davis's precarious position, a trial might worsen matters for all parties. Rebecca's lawyer leans down, whispering fiercely in her ear, probably urging her to take the settlement. She looks broken, tears dripping onto her lap. Finally, with a shaky inhale, she nods. Fine, she whispers. I accept. A hush fills the room. Aaron quickly jots down the final terms, and the judge organizes the documents. Chloe, sitting tensely, relaxes a fraction. I sign the papers, heart pounding. Then Rebecca's lawyer helps guide her hand to sign, tears still slipping down her cheeks. Judge Brinkley sets the pen aside, expression solemn. Very well. The marriage is dissolved on these terms. Once I finalize the decree, you'll each get a copy. Miss Morgan, I'm sorry for your injuries. Mr. Morgan, I hope you both can move forward amicably for Chloe's sake. I nod, barely able to speak. Rebecca's lawyer gathers their belongings, then wheels her away. She doesn't even glance back. Chloe swallows hard, tears glistening in her own eyes. I rest a hand on her shoulder, giving it a reassuring squeeze. We stand there, the judge stepping out to file the paperwork, leaving us alone with Aaron in the conference room's hush. Aaron breaks the silence. You got what you wanted. The house, custody, no spousal support. She can't contest it further without revealing more about the affair. I'd call that a solid victory. Victory. The word rings hollow in my ears. I gaze at the empty doorway where Rebecca disappeared, remembering the woman I once married, now a shell of that memory. She's physically injured, emotionally broken, possibly reliant on a man who's also in critical shape. Part of me wanted to see her pay, and she has. But the triumph is laced with sorrow. I nod to Aaron. Thank you for everything. We finalize a few more signatures. Then she leaves to file the last forms. Chloe lingers by the table, eyes on me. Dad, she says softly, is it really over? I pull her into a gentle hug. Yeah, I whisper, voice shaking. It's over. Legally, at least. She presses her face against my shoulder, and for a moment, neither of us move. The tension seeps out of me in waves, replaced by an ache I can't fully name. We'll figure out where we go from here, I add, voice raw. Chloe steps back, swiping at her tears. I'm just glad you got the house. We can keep some stability, right? I nod, offering her a faint smile. Yeah, we'll stay. You finish high school in peace. That's what matters. As we walk out into the corridor, the late afternoon sun streams through a high window, painting the floor in warm light. A sense of finality settles in my chest. The divorce is done. My marriage to Rebecca ended in a swirl of betrayal, an accident, and a legal confrontation. Yet I can't shake the feeling that in destroying the old life, I've also cleared the stage for whatever comes next for me, for Chloe, and maybe for that quiet spark I share with Evelyn. But for now, I hold my daughter's hand, stepping out of the courthouse with an odd mixture of grief and relief. The final blow has been struck, and we're finally free. I stare at the empty dresser in what used to be our master bedroom, mine and Rebecca's. She took most of her clothes when she moved out, leaving behind a handful of random items. A bright pink scarf she hadn't worn in years, a pair of fuzzy socks, a half-burned vanilla candle on the windowsill. The closet gapes open, echoing the sense of loss in my chest. It's been a week since the judge finalized our divorce, awarding me the house and custody of Chloe. Ironically, the victory I'd worked so hard for feels hollow. In the evenings, when I collapse onto my bed, exhaustion hits me like a train. I've been so focused on punishing Rebecca and Mitchell that now, with the fight over, there's only a numb ache left behind. Downstairs, I hear Chloe murmuring on the phone with a friend, probably venting about how weird it is that her mom left so abruptly. Rebecca's physical rehabilitation was arranged through an outpatient center, so she's staying at a small studio apartment downtown. She called a few times, leaving voicemails about wanting to see Chloe, but Chloe has kept her distance. I just need time, she told me, eyes brimming with hurt. I shuffle to the bathroom and flick on the light. My reflection in the mirror makes me pause. I look older, shadows under my eyes, shoulders tensed as if bracing for another blow. I realize the satisfaction from watching Rebecca sign away her share of the house has faded into a deep fatigue. Even my co-workers at the automotive firm noticed I haven't been my usual methodical self. I've been forgetting small details, losing concentration. A soft knock on the doorframe startles me. It's Evelyn, standing in the hallway. She and I have grown closer in these past few days, but it's mostly late-night phone calls or quiet visits, nothing official. I invited her over tonight, thinking maybe her presence could lift the gloom. Hey, she says gently, peeking at me in the mirror. Chloe let me in. She said you were up here. I turn, forcing a smile. Yeah, sorry. Been drifting. She steps closer, her soft cardigan brushing against my arm. You look exhausted, James. Didn't you sleep? I let out a bitter laugh. Sleep feels like a stranger. My mind won't shut off. It replays everything that happened in that courtroom, then every memory of our marriage like a twisted highlight reel. Evelyn's eyes fill with sympathy. She lays a hand on my shoulder, guiding me out of the bathroom and into the hallway. Let's talk, she says, voice quiet. Or just sit. Whatever you need. We go downstairs to the living room where Chloe waves briefly from the kitchen, phone still at her ear. I sink onto the couch, Evelyn beside me, knees turned in my direction. The overhead lamp casts a warm glow, but the house still feels eerily empty. Part of me thought I'd feel better once the divorce was done, I admit, leaning back. I kept telling myself I'd find peace if I made her pay, if I got justice. But now I'm just worn out. Evelyn nods. That makes sense. You spent so much time and energy fighting her lies. Anger can fuel you only for so long. Then it leaves you hollow. My gaze drifts to the family photos on the mantel, Chloe in middle school, me with a proud grin, Rebecca in the background, smiling widely. The memory stings. I keep feeling guilty for destroying what we had, even though she was the one who cheated. I guess it's survivor's guilt, in a way. She scoots closer, her hand finding mine. You didn't destroy it, James. She did. But I get it, the house is full of reminders. You're bound to feel haunted. A tightness grips my chest. I squeeze her hand. I just don't know how to move forward. I won, legally, but emotionally, I'm stranded. Evelyn's phone buzzes in her pocket. She silences it without looking. You deserve to heal, she says softly. Chloe needs that too. If you stay stuck in guilt or anger, it'll drag her down with you. I nod, remembering the anxious look in my daughter's eyes lately. She tries to be strong for me, but I see the cracks. I know, I whisper. I've got to let go of this bitterness somehow. Evelyn's gaze is warm. You will. Maybe it means new routines, new memories. Not wiping out the past, but replacing it with something better. A lump forms in my throat. Part of me wants to cry, but I'm too drained for tears. I manage to slide my arm around her shoulders, and she rests her head gently on my chest. It's not a romantic gesture exactly, more like seeking solace. We remain that way, the clock ticking softly in the background. Eventually, Chloe walks in, phone call ended. Her eyes flick to us, and a small smile touches her lips. She doesn't tease us or act weird about it. Instead, she sits on the armchair. Dad, she says, voice tentative, is it okay if we order pizza for dinner? I can't stomach leftover spaghetti again. I let out a breathy chuckle. Sure, kiddo. Let's do it. She grins, relief washing over her face at the normalcy. She pulls out her phone to place an order while Evelyn gives my shoulder a final squeeze and stands. Pizza. That sounds perfect, she says, voice brighter. I watch them both with a stirring of gratitude. For once, the house doesn't feel so empty. Evelyn's presence, Chloe's resilience, maybe these are the first steps toward the renewal I desperately need. A couple of weeks drift by, and I try to piece together a functional routine. I handle my engineering job more efficiently again, focusing on new design proposals. Every day, I pick Chloe up from soccer practice if I can, or she catches a ride with Savannah, her friend. Evenings are quieter since Rebecca's belongings and presents are gone. Amid this new normal, Evelyn and I keep finding small ways to connect. We message occasionally during the workday, harmless jokes or a quick thinking of you note. It's nothing scandalous, but I sense the spark we've had since the fiasco at the practice dance. Now that I'm legally free, maybe it's time to explore that spark without guilt. Tonight, I decide to test the waters. After dinner, Chloe heads upstairs to do homework. I linger in the living room, phone in hand, heart thumping. Am I really about to ask Evelyn on a proper date? For so long, I was trapped in betrayal and anger. This feels like stepping onto a fragile bridge over a deep ravine. At last, I dial her number. She answers on the second ring. James? Everything okay? I swallow my nerves. Hey, yeah, everything's fine. Actually, I was wondering if you want to grab dinner with me on Saturday. Someplace nice, away from all this drama. A real date, if you're up for that. Silence hums for a moment. Then she laughs softly, a gentle, delighted sound. I'd love that, she says. Though I confess I'm a little nervous. I manage a small grin, relieved she isn't rejecting me. Nervous how? Well, we've known each other in unusual circumstances, she admits. I want to be sure we're not rushing. I know you just ended a marriage. I let out a breath. I appreciate your concern, but I promise I'm not trying to jump into anything blindly. Let's just enjoy an evening together. See how it feels, she agrees, voice warm with anticipation. After we hang up, I stare at my phone, pulse still racing. It's so strange to do something as simple as invite someone to dinner and feel this swirl of excitement. Part of me wonders if I'm betraying Chloe or turning the page too fast. But I remind myself that Chloe respects Evelyn, and I need this step to move on. Saturday arrives, and I'm fidgeting in front of my bedroom mirror, wearing a casual blazer and nice jeans. Chloe peeks in, eyebrows raised. Wow, Dad, you look fancy. That's new. I snort, smoothing the lapel. Let's not get carried away, it's just a blazer. I'm not used to dressing up after all that's happened. Think it's too much? She steps closer, adjusting the collar for me. Nah, you look great. Evelyn's sweet, Dad, I approve. A wave of affection hits me. Thanks, kiddo, I murmur, pulling her into a hug. I'm just hoping for a normal date, without drama. She pats my back. You deserve it. I drive to a little Italian bistro on the outskirts of town, cozy, dim lighting, the kind of place that doesn't blast loud music or invite big crowds. When I arrive, Evelyn's already waiting at a corner table, looking elegant in a simple black dress. My heart lurches at the sight of her, reminding me how rarely I've let myself appreciate another woman's beauty since my marriage collapsed. She greets me with a warm smile that transforms into slight nerves, cheeks flushing. You actually showed up, she teases, fiddling with the menu. Part of me worried you'd cancel last minute. I shake my head, chuckling. No way. I've been looking forward to this. We order glasses of wine, nothing extravagant, but enough to loosen the tension. Conversation starts tentatively, about her students and my latest engineering project. Then we wade into deeper waters, her past heartbreak at losing her husband young, my heartbreak at discovering betrayal in a long marriage. It still hurts, I admit, voice low. Sometimes I think about how naive I was, trusting Rebecca fully. I worry if I can trust anyone again. Her eyes soften. I get it. Trust is fragile, especially after betrayal, but I believe it's still possible with time and honesty. I find myself wanting to open up more, to lay out my fears. The waitress appears with steaming plates of pasta, interrupting the moment. When she leaves, Evelyn and I exchange small laughs. Life's timing can be comedic. As the meal continues, I realize how easy it is to talk with her. She's genuinely interested in my world, not as a problem to fix, but as a partner in conversation. At one point, she mentions how she'd like to coordinate more nature outings for the school's science department. Maybe you can help me with the planning, she says, eyes twinkling. I recall you have a knack for logistics. A part of me warms, remembering our hike fiasco where I first got a sense of her kindness. I'd like that, I say simply. After dinner, we stroll out to the parking lot under a clear night sky. The hush of crickets surrounds us. Evelyn shivers in the slight chill, and I instinctively drape my blazer over her shoulders. She smiles up at me. For a heartbeat, I wonder if I should lean in and kiss her too soon. My chest tightens with uncertainty. She reads my hesitation, stepping closer. James, it's okay, she murmurs, her eyes flicking to my lips. We can take it slow, but it's okay. My heart thuds. I lower my head, and we share a gentle, tentative kiss, warmth flooding my veins. It's not passionate or rushed, but it's real, and it feels like the first step toward a new chapter that isn't defined by betrayal and anger. We pull apart, each of us a little breathless. She hands me my blazer back with a shaky laugh. Thanks for dinner. I smile, still caught in the glow of that moment. Thank you for saying yes. We exchange a final hug, then part ways, each driving off. On the ride home, the streetlights blink past, and I feel something I haven't in so long, genuine hope. Maybe I can piece my life back together. Maybe love isn't doomed for me. The thought draws a soft smile to my face. When I get home, Chloe's on the couch with the TV playing at low volume. She glances up, eyes curious. So, how was it? I toss my keys on the coffee table, cheeks a bit warm. It was. Really nice. We ate, we talked, we, had a small moment. I can't hide my grin. She smirks. You kissed her, didn't you? I let out an embarrassed laugh, sinking beside her on the couch. I guess so. Is that weird? She shrugs. No, I'm happy for you, Dad. Then her smile fades. Just don't get hurt again, okay? My chest tightens at her concern. I gently rest a hand on hers. I'll be careful, I promise. Inwardly, I feel the ghosts of the past lingering, but for once, they don't overshadow the faint glow of happiness I've found tonight. It's a crisp autumn afternoon when my sister Lauren arrives in town. She's older by 2 years and has always been bluntly honest, sometimes too much. She insisted on driving out once she heard the divorce was final. Now we stand in my living room, sipping coffee while she surveys the house with a critical eye. Glad you kept the place, she remarks, adjusting the framed family photos on the mantel. You deserve something stable after that dumpster fire of a marriage. I flinch at her wording. It wasn't always a dumpster fire, I murmur, memories flashing of better times with Rebecca. But yeah, it collapsed. Lauren sighs, giving me a pat on the shoulder. I just want to be sure you're not burying yourself in guilt. You have the right to move on. I cast her a wry smile. I'm trying. Actually been seeing someone, Evelyn Cole, a teacher at Chloe's school. It's new, but she's wonderful. Her eyes widen. Ooh, you sly dog. Then her expression softens. Good. I'm happy for you. Chloe, okay with that? She's surprisingly supportive, I say, sipping coffee. But it's still fresh. I keep expecting some meltdown, but so far she's just relieved I'm not wallowing. Lauren nods. Teenagers can be resilient sometimes more than we think. She sets her mug aside. So, let's talk about your ex. Are you still in contact at all? A pang of tension grips me. Rebecca tried calling a few times, mostly about seeing Chloe. I let them talk once on speakerphone, and it was awkward. Chloe's not ready to forgive. Lauren's gaze flicks to the staircase. She's upstairs. I nod. Finishing an English essay, I think. Then I exhale, remembering why I called Lauren. Also, I got this. I fish a small envelope from a side table and hand it to her. It's from Rebecca, delivered by mail. A letter, scrawled in shaky handwriting. Lauren scans the first lines, eyes widening. She's apologizing again, asking for you to meet her for coffee to talk about. Some regrets? She lowers the letter, eyebrows raised. You going? I shake my head firmly. No, I'm not sure I can trust any conversation that's not about basic logistics for Chloe. I've had enough manipulations. Smart, Lauren says, handing it back. She might just want to rummage in your head. I fold the letter and tuck it away. Exactly, I'm not playing that game. The front door opens then, and Evelyn steps inside, carrying a small tote bag of groceries. She'd offered to bring fresh produce for a weekend brunch we're planning. Lauren looks at me, eyebrows waggling. So that's Evelyn, huh? I hush her with a playful glare. Behave. Evelyn greets Lauren politely, shaking hands. You must be James's sister. Nice to meet you. Lauren studies her a moment, then nods approvingly. Likewise, I've heard good things. Love the produce cameo. Evelyn laughs, a bit pink-cheeked. I insisted on bringing something. Couldn't show up empty-handed. We migrate to the kitchen, the three of us chatting about nonsense. Local weather, traffic, school updates. Lauren's frankness keeps the conversation real, no dancing around the fact that I'm newly divorced. Evelyn handles it gracefully, not oversharing or acting shy. I'm relieved they get along. Soon we're making brunch. Scrambled eggs, bacon, and Evelyn's homemade avocado salsa. Chloe drifts down, hair messy from a nap, and joins us. For a moment, it feels like a family gathering, friendly banter, clanking utensils, laughter when the bacon pops hot oil. Amid this bustle, Lauren catches me rummaging through a cupboard for a mixing bowl. She pulls me aside, whispering, You look so much lighter, bro. I remember how hollow you were last month. Keep this up. A tight sensation in my chest eases. Thanks, I say softly, touched by her support. I do feel better. Still haunted sometimes, but better. She nods, patting my back. Then we return to the kitchen where Evelyn cracks a joke about the bacon needing a medic. Chloe giggles. It's a silly, everyday moment, but I realize these small pockets of joy are part of healing, replacing old memories with new ones. Late that afternoon, after Lauren leaves, Evelyn heads home and Chloe retreats to her room. I decide to confront one more ghost, the old marital home we used to have. Actually, it's this same home, but the rooms we once shared. As the sun sets, painting the living room in golden light, I walk slowly from room to room, letting the memories surface. In the kitchen, I remember Rebecca making blueberry pancakes on Sunday mornings, humming. In the living room, a flash of us dancing, laughing at some cheesy love song on the radio. Up the stairs, the bedroom door stands ajar, the space nearly empty of her presence. I pause in the hallway, heart pounding. My sister's words echo, Don't bury yourself in guilt. Taking a deep breath, I enter the bedroom and open the old trunk at the foot of the bed. It holds photos, letters, random keepsakes from our early marriage. The trunk used to feel comforting, but it's been locked for months. Now I force myself to rummage through, piece by piece, letting tears slip unashamedly when I see the honeymoon snapshots. We'd been so happy. It hurts, But I also sense a quiet acceptance. That life is gone, replaced by something new I can't fully define yet. After a while, I gather some items that no longer have a place here, like the wedding album, some leftover cards from anniversaries past. Carefully, I seal them in a box. Maybe I'll store them in the attic or hand them back to Rebecca one day. I'm not burning them. I just can't have them haunting my day-to-day life anymore. By the time I finish, night has fully fallen and the wind rustles outside. Chloe's door is closed, music drifting faintly. I feel an odd mix of sadness and relief, like exhaling after holding my breath too long. Before bed, I text Evelyn a simple note. "Thank you for today. I'm learning to let go." She replies almost instantly, "I'm proud of you, James. Good night." I set down my phone, climbing under the blankets. The house is quiet. Even though the pain of betrayal still lingers, it's not strangling me anymore. I'm letting the old life rest, piece by piece, choosing to focus on what's ahead. Snow flurries swirl outside the window, signaling winter's early arrival. I'm on the couch with Chloe, reviewing her college application essays. She's a junior now, but some advanced programs ask for early statements of interest. Her pencil taps anxiously on the paper. "What if they think my extracurriculars are lame?" she frets, glancing at me. "I only did soccer and a few volunteer things." I chuckle softly. "That's not lame. It's well-rounded. Just write honestly about what you learned." She nods, reading over her draft. I watch her face, so mature compared to the little girl who used to trail after me in the garage. Despite the turmoil of the past months, she's handled it with a resilience that amazes me. "Thanks, Dad," she says finally. "I'll keep editing." After she gathers her papers and heads to her room, my phone buzzes. It's Evelyn. We planned a quick grocery run together. Since it's Saturday, we sometimes do errands side by side, joking about who chooses the better produce. It's become a small routine that feels comforting. I slip on a jacket and let Chloe know I'll be back soon. The roads are dusted with snow, and the sky hangs gray. At the grocery store, Evelyn greets me with a bright smile and a quick hug. We navigate the aisles, picking out dinner ingredients tonight. I'm cooking her a meal at my place. We chat about the science club's upcoming trip, which she's organizing, and how the administration has yet to replace Mitchell Davis. Whispers say he might never return to that position. I sense no bitterness as we pass by a display of red roses. Once, such a sight might have reminded me of Valentine's days with Rebecca. Now I catch Evelyn's eye and we share a smile. She shrugs shyly. "You want to get some flowers for the table? Might cheer up the house." "Sure," I say, plucking a modest bouquet of lilies. The gesture feels symbolic, something fresh for a new chapter. As we load groceries into her trunk, Evelyn hesitates, chewing her lip. "Hey, there's something I've been meaning to talk about. How do you feel about us? Making this official? Like, if someone asks you who I am, would you say I'm your girlfriend?" Her cheeks flush, and my heart twinges at how vulnerable she looks. But I feel warmth bloom in my chest. "I'd say yes," I answer, voice steady. "I might even add that you're an amazing woman." She laughs, that musical sound I've grown to adore. Then her expression grows serious. "I know we've been cautious because of Chloe and all the gossip from the affair, but it's been months since the divorce. I don't want to sneak around." I rest a hand on her arm. "You're right. I'm done hiding. If Chloe's comfortable, I think we can be public about dating. It might be weird at school, but I don't care anymore." She exhales, tension leaving her shoulders. That's a relief. I just didn't want to overstep. We share a brief kiss by the trunk, ignoring the cold bite of the wind. After that, we head back to my house. Chloe is in the living room, headphones on. Evelyn and I unpack the groceries, bantering about recipes. At one point, I glance over and see Chloe watching us from the couch, a slight smile on her face, as if she's happy we're not tiptoeing around anymore. Later, after dinner steaming bowls of stew with crusty bread, Chloe retreats to her room to finish schoolwork. Evelyn and I settle on the couch, the fireplace crackling. She rests her head on my shoulder. We talk about the future, small dreams, like maybe taking a road trip in the spring or planning a weekend cabin getaway. Then I surprise myself by saying, "You know, if everything keeps going this way, I can imagine us living together. Someday." Evelyn lifts her head, eyes wide. Really? I swallow, heart thudding. Yes, eventually. I mean, not tomorrow, but if we're truly stepping forward, maybe that's a possibility. A warmth spreads through me at the idea of building a life with her. Not marred by betrayal, but by genuine partnership. A soft flush colors her cheeks. I'd like that, though I'm not sure how Chloe would feel about me moving in. I nod. We'll talk to her. She likes you, but I don't want to rush her. She's at a delicate age, figuring out college, her future. I pause. We'll handle it carefully. Evelyn smiles, lacing her fingers with mine. No rush. Just know that I'm here. For you, for Chloe, for whatever comes next. A tender silence envelops us. My mind drifts to all the pain that brought me here, Rebecca's betrayal, the legal fight, the hospital drama. Yet in this hush, I sense the quiet relief of forging a new path. I think about how I once felt overshadowed by old ghosts, constantly reminded of everything I'd lost. Now, those ghosts still whisper, but they don't define my days. At some point, music drifts from Chloe's room, a slow tune. I get up, feeling playful. I extend a hand to Evelyn. Dance with me? She laughs lightly, glancing around. But there's no dancing music here, only the faint sound from Chloe's playlist. I shrug. Good enough. I gently pull her into my arms, swaying in the dim light, the fireplace crackling. She rests her head against my chest, and we move in a small circle on the living room rug. Each step feels like a promise that the wounds of the past don't have to overshadow the future. We don't speak, just let the slow motion of our dance become a silent conversation. In that moment, I recall the vow I made in the aftermath of everything, to ensure Chloe's happiness, to reclaim my own sense of worth, to find a love that's not built on lies. Maybe we're on that path now. When the song ends, we linger, still holding each other. Evelyn glances up, eyes shining. I think you're a better dancer than you realize, she teases softly. I grin, a little breathless. Or maybe it's just the partner. Footsteps on the stairs break the spell. Chloe appears, sporting a mischievous smile. Sorry, she says. Didn't mean to interrupt, but I need some water. Evelyn laughs, stepping back, cheeks pink. I just shrug, feeling lighter than I have in ages. It's a small moment. A father, his girlfriend, and a teenage daughter coexisting peacefully in a house once filled with turmoil. And for once, I'm not worrying about the next crisis. I'm not consumed by memories of Rebecca's cheating. I'm simply standing here, content, the woman I care about at my side, my daughter safe upstairs. That slow dance was more than just a whim, it was a step forward together, a symbol that maybe life after betrayal can still hold grace and hope. A pale winter sun filters through the blinds in my new home office, landing on the drafting table where I'm sketching a design for a specialized automotive bracket. It's been exactly 1 year since the divorce was finalized. A lot has happened in that time, some of it painful, most of it transformative. Outside, the bare branches clatter softly in the cold breeze, yet my thoughts feel light, reminiscent of early spring. Ever since I fully committed to living a new life, everything seems more manageable. Evelyn, especially, has been the anchor that keeps me steady. She isn't just a comforting presence anymore. She's become my partner, day in and day out. We haven't rushed marriage or anything official yet, but the closeness we share has turned everyday routines into a sense of family. My phone buzzes. A quick glance shows a text from Chloe. Headed to study group after class. Don't worry about dinner. Love you. I smile. She's a senior now. Time passes so quickly it's almost disorienting. She went from a teenager caught in the heartbreak of betrayal to a confident young woman planning her future. The house, though quieter than before, is calmer too. No more clenched jaws or suspicious phone calls echoing in the hallways. I stand, stretching. My own professional life has grown interesting. I recently pitched a side project for an autonomous battery system to my boss, and he liked it enough to give me partial funding. I've become a kind of quiet star at the automotive engineering firm, turning that old sense of methodical problem-solving into tangible results. The hush of betrayal is gone, replaced by the hum of productivity. Evelyn emerges from the hallway. She's been prepping lesson plans on the living room couch for her science classes. Hey, she says, tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear. You look deep in thought. I give her a warm smile, stepping out from behind the drafting table, just finishing up a concept drawing. I gently hold her waist, pressing a small kiss to her cheek. "How's your day?" She hums, leaning into me. "Busy. I'm thinking of taking my science club to a new environmental center next month. Could be fun sampling water, analyzing soil layers. I'd love you to come along if you have time." My chest warms at how naturally she wants to include me. "I'd love that," I say quietly. "It's good to see you so excited." She tilts her head, eyes sparkling. "I'm just happy, James. With you, with the life we're building." Her words carry a soft relief that matches my own. We linger in a gentle embrace, the sunlight catching the dust motes in the air. A knock at the front door interrupts our moment. Exchanging a questioning glance, we both head down the hallway. When I open the door, I'm greeted by a friendly face I haven't seen in months. Mrs. Henson, a parent volunteer from Chloe's old science events. She's clutching a manila folder and beaming. "Hi, Mr. Morgan," she exclaims cheerily. "I know your daughter's almost out of high school, but the parent-teacher committee insisted I invite you to our recognition ceremony next week. It's for all the families who contributed to last year's science program. Miss Cole is getting an award, too." Evelyn flushes with surprise, stepping forward. "Really? I didn't know about that." Mrs. Henson winks. "We wanted it to be a surprise. You've done wonders for the science club, Evelyn." She hands me the folder with an official-looking invitation. "There'll be a small reception in the gym. We hope you both can make it." After a final wave, she bustles away. I close the door, scanning the invitation. A knot of nostalgia tugs at me as I recall the earlier days when I chaperoned the nature hike that first brought Evelyn and me together. So much has changed since then: Rebecca's betrayal, the collision of truths, the hospital drama, the divorce. Evelyn leans over my arm to read the invitation. Her smile is soft. "It'll be interesting, going back to the same gym where the practice dance fiasco happened." I grimace, remembering that confrontation with Coach Donovan and the bombshell news of Rebecca's accident. True. But maybe it's time we rewrite that memory, yeah? She nods, slipping her arm around my waist. Exactly. Later in the day, I walk out to my Mustang. After everything that happened, I never got rid of it. It's still my personal project car. The engine purrs as I take a drive to the grocery store, letting the open road soothe me. A year ago, I used to grip the wheel with tension, scanning my phone for missed calls from lawyers or from Chloe's school. Now, I feel only a steady calm. In the produce aisle, I spot a familiar figure, Coach Donovan. He's rummaging through apples, wearing a simple jacket. Our eyes meet. A flicker of recognition passes between us. A year ago, I punched him in a drunken confrontation. He ended up with a bruised jaw and a bruised ego. He nods curtly, stepping closer. "James," he says, voice subdued. "Been a while." I keep my tone polite. "Coach." He shifts, looking awkward. "I heard you're doing good." "Married life." He stops, remembering we're not quite married. "I mean you and Miss Cole, right?" I raise an eyebrow but remain civil. "We're seeing each other, yeah." He exhales. "Glad to hear it. I guess I just wanted to say sorry for how I acted back then. I was drunk and out of line." A ghost of old anger flares in me, but it fizzles quickly. People change, I remind myself. "Appreciate that," I say simply, adding a slight nod. "No hard feelings." Donovan offers a half smile and returns to picking apples. I leave with my cart, a surreal sense of closure washing over me. Even old antagonists from that chaotic time are moving on. Back home, I find Evelyn browsing her laptop at the dining table. She lifts her gaze, curiosity lighting her features when I set the groceries down. "You look thoughtful." I tell her about the Coach Donovan encounter. She arches an eyebrow. Maybe he's truly regretful. People can surprise us sometimes. I nod, pondering how even those who fueled the worst chapters of my life might still seek redemption. "Speaking of surprises," I say, changing the subject, "I was thinking we could do a short trip this winter. Just you and me, maybe a cabin rental. Let Chloe have a friend over if she wants." Evelyn's face brightens. A getaway. Sounds like heaven. Something in her expression stirs a fierce protectiveness in me, a sense of wanting to make our future bright. "Let's do it," I say, voice firm. It's time to live a life less ordinary. She smiles, leaning across the table to kiss me. Outside the window, snow flutters again, dusting our yard. For once, the world feels open, not weighed down by secrets or resentments. I hold on to the moment, certain that while we've shed the old life, we're stepping into something deeper, richer, and freer. And that, for me, is enough. The sound of cheerful chatter reverberates in the high school gymnasium, now transformed with festive banners and a small stage. A makeshift reception area lines one wall, folding tables decked with trays of cookies and punch. Chloe and I maneuver through the crowd, searching for Evelyn. "It's crowded," Chloe mutters, glancing around at teachers and parents milling about. "Way more people than I expected." I nod, scanning for Miss Henson or Mr. Ruiz's familiar faces from the science department. Amid the jostling, Evelyn appears at my side, smiling in relief. She's wearing a modest green dress that complements her eyes, a name badge pinned to her chest. "There you are," she says, exhaling. "I feel like I've greeted 50 parents already." Chloe grins at her. "Congrats, Miss Cole. I hear you're getting an award for Best Science Program Coordinator or something?" Evelyn's cheeks flush. "So they say. It's mostly just a certificate, but I'm honored." Then she looks to me, voice dropping. "Thanks for coming, James. I know this gym holds some rough memories." A flicker of tension crosses my mind at the memory of that dreadful practice dance, the drunken fiasco, and the police officer delivering news of Rebecca's accident. But I push it aside, offering Evelyn a reassuring nod. "We're rewriting those memories, right?" Her smile widens, and we settle near the stage, Chloe tagging along. The principal and interim replacement welcomes everyone, praising the science club's achievements. He invites Evelyn to the stage, awarding her a framed certificate. Applause ripples through the crowd, and I feel a swell of pride. But as the applause dies, a hush spreads at the sight of someone slipping in through the gym's side doors. Rebecca. She's leaning on a cane, wearing a long coat and scarf, looking thinner than I recall. Her eyes sweep the crowd, land on me, then flick to Chloe. A collective pause, as if a ghost from the past just walked in. Chloe goes rigid beside me. She whispers, "Dad, what's she doing here?" My stomach knots. I don't know. Last I heard, she was scraping by financially, possibly doing part-time clerical work. I certainly hadn't expected her to show up at a school function. Then again, she's still Chloe's mother, and a public event might be her chance to see her daughter without direct confrontation. Evelyn wraps up her acceptance speech on stage, stepping down amid polite applause. She glances at me questioningly, noticing the sudden shift in the atmosphere. Her gaze follows mine to Rebecca. Concern flickers across her face. Rebecca slowly limps forward, ignoring curious stares. She stops a few steps away from us, voice hesitant. "James? Chloe?" Chloe stares at the floor, jaw tight. I step protectively closer to my daughter. "Rebecca, surprised to see you here." She clears her throat, leaning on her cane. I heard about the science awards. Figured Chloe would be here. I just wanted—" Her voice catches. "I wanted to see how she's doing." Chloe looks up, eyes brimming with a swirl of emotions. Anger, hurt, maybe longing. "I'm fine," she says tersely. "Busy finishing senior year." Rebecca nods, tears gathering. "That's good. You look grown up." An awkward silence stretches, punctuated by distant laughter from the other side of the gym. Evelyn lingers a few feet away, uncertain whether to intervene. I can't help feeling a flash of protectiveness toward her, recalling how she's dreaded being labeled the other woman. But she stands firm, lips pressed together. Rebecca shifts her cane to her other hand, face contorting with vulnerability. "Chloe, could we talk? Maybe in private." Chloe's lips press into a thin line. She glances at me, then at Evelyn. Finally, she exhales. "I guess." Her tone is brittle, but it's not a refusal. "Let's step outside." The two of them walk toward the exit, Rebecca hobbling slightly. Evelyn looks at me with concern. "Are you okay with them talking alone?" I blow out a breath. "Chloe's almost 18. She can handle herself, but I'll keep an eye on them from a distance." My stomach churns. The last time Rebecca tried to contact Chloe, it ended in awkward phone calls and tears. Now I pray it won't escalate. We watch from across the gym as Chloe and Rebecca stand near a dimly lit hallway, exchanging words we can't hear. Rebecca gestures anxiously, Chloe's arms folded. At one point, Chloe wipes her eyes, face set. Rebecca reaches to hug her, but Chloe hesitates. After a tense moment, she allows a brief hug, then steps back, expression pained. They return a few minutes later. Chloe's face is red from crying, but her posture is stiff, defensive. Rebecca follows, tears glistening on her cheeks. She meets my gaze. James, I'm not here to cause trouble. I cross my arms, trying not to let old anger flare. What do you want then? She swallows. I just wanted to congratulate Chloe in person, and her eyes flick to Evelyn, then back to me. I'm sorry for everything. She doesn't elaborate, perhaps knowing I won't indulge a drawn-out apology in public. Chloe steps in, voice trembling. She asked if she could come to my graduation. I said I'd think about it. She avoids looking at her mother, turning instead to me. Dad, is that okay? My heart twists. I remember how many times I wanted to shut Rebecca out entirely, but the years have softened some edges. Maybe Chloe's ready, maybe not. I exhale slowly. That's your choice, kiddo. It's your graduation. Rebecca's eyes fill with gratitude, but I cut her off before she can speak. I only ask you respect Chloe's boundaries. She's the one who decides how much she wants you involved. Rebecca nods, lips trembling. I understand. She casts a final glance at Evelyn, a flicker of sorrow in her gaze, then limps away. She exits the gym with measured steps. I notice a few parents eyeing the scene from the sidelines, remembering the scandal, but no one approaches. Evelyn steps closer to Chloe, voice gentle. Are you okay? Chloe inhales shakily. Yeah, just big emotions, I guess. She apologized again, said she's trying to fix her life. I'm still hurt, but part of me wonders if we can have some relationship someday. I wrap an arm around her shoulders. That's understandable. Give yourself time. No rush. Relief warps with sadness inside me. Relief that it didn't blow up. Sadness that it's all so complicated. Across the gym, Miss Henson waves to Evelyn, beckoning her for some group photo. Evelyn touches my arm softly. I have to handle this. Will you two be okay? I nod, mustering a small smile. Go ahead. As Evelyn moves away, Chloe and I stand quietly. The hum of chatter fills the background. She leans her head against my shoulder, letting out a weary sigh. Thanks for not freaking out, Dad. I kiss the top of her head gently. I'm proud of you, kid. That took courage. We linger like that for a moment, father and daughter in a place once tainted by heartbreak. Now it feels different, still tense, but better. Because the unexpected crossroads Rebecca's reappearance didn't shatter us. Instead, it might just open a cautious path forward for Chloe if she wants it. Eventually, we slip away from the crowd, heading to the car. Evelyn meets us outside, her certificate in hand, beaming with quiet joy. We all climb in, exchanging relieved smiles. The temperature outside has dropped, the cold biting at our cheeks. But inside the car, there's warmth that has nothing to do with the heater. It's the warmth of a family, yes, an unconventional one, but a family nonetheless facing whatever life throws next. It's a balmy late spring afternoon, sunlight dancing through tree leaves onto the small rose garden where we've set up a cluster of folding chairs. Chloe stands beside me, adjusting the pale blue dress she's wearing. She looks nervous, which makes me laugh internally. I'm the one getting married. But I can see the excitement in her eyes. You ready, Dad? She whispers, fiddling with her small bouquet. Evelyn's going to freak if we keep her waiting. My heart hammers in my chest. The hush of the guests' chatter wafts from just around the corner, where they're all seated. Yeah, I say, inhaling. I'm ready. It feels surreal to be here, about to marry Evelyn. In all those months of heartbreak, I never imagined a second chance at love this pure. As we step into the garden, my eyes find Evelyn in a simple white dress that she insisted be as non-fussy as possible. She's radiant, standing under an arch of soft greenery, flanked by a few close friends. Music plays quietly, a string quartet we hired for the day, coaxing gentle notes into the sunny air. Chloe takes her place as bridesmaid, Lauren, my sister, sits in the front row, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. A few of Evelyn's teacher friends are here, along with some of my automotive coworkers who saw me through my darkest days. It's a modest gathering, intimate rather than extravagant, which suits us perfectly. Evelyn's gaze locks onto mine, and the crowd's murmurs fade into background noise. The officiant, an older woman from our local community center, gives us a warm nod. Friends, family, we're gathered here today to celebrate the union of James Morgan and Evelyn Cole. She speaks for a moment about love and resilience, how storms can lead to new growth. My chest tightens with gratitude. Then we exchange vows, voices trembling with emotion. I never wrote vows for my first wedding. Rebecca and I had done a standard ceremony. Now I've poured my heart into a few lines about trust, healing, and cherishing the everyday. Evelyn, tears in her eyes, pledges a gentle but unwavering devotion. The officiant smiles. You may kiss. We do. Softly at first, then with a rush of joy that spurs claps and cheers. The arch sways slightly in a breeze, and I taste salt on Evelyn's lips, tears of happiness, I realize, or maybe tears of relief that we've both found a harbor after storms. When we turn to face our guests, I spot Chloe grinning, tears shining on her cheeks. She mouths, "Congrats," looking so proud. Lauren leaps to her feet, clapping fervently. The guests applaud, laughter mingling with the music. My heart feels so full it could burst. A little later, we gather near a small garden pavilion for a casual reception. String lights twinkle overhead, and a local caterer serves up simple finger foods. We roam between guests, accepting hugs and well wishes. Evelyn's friend from the faculty, Miss Jenkins, jokes about how the math department lost bets on whether we'd tie the knot. I laugh, mind drifting to the memory of that old tension in the school hallways. Chloe corners me by the punch table, her eyes alight. "This is so cool, Dad," she says, breathless. "Evelyn looks gorgeous, and you look so happy. Like, truly happy." I set down my cup to pull her into a brief hug. "Thanks, kiddo. Having you here means the world." Her acceptance has eased my guilt about moving on from Rebecca. I no longer doubt that this wedding is right. A hush falls suddenly, and I see guests parting as a figure appears at the edge of the pavilion. Rebecca. She's wearing a subdued floral dress, hair pinned up. The cane is gone, though she still favors one leg. My chest tightens. We invited her out of courtesy, uncertain if she'd come. Our relationship remains distant, but Chloe had suggested it might help finalize the healing. She stands awkwardly, uncertain. A few guests shift uncomfortably, recognizing the ex-wife. Slowly she approaches me, glancing at Chloe for permission. My daughter offers a tight smile, stepping aside. "James," Rebecca begins, voice quiet. "Congratulations." Her gaze flicks to Evelyn, who's chatting with Lauren across the pavilion. "I won't stay long. Just wanted to wish you both well." My pulse thrums with conflicting emotions. This is the woman who once shattered me, yet also the woman I once built a life with, the mother of my child. I manage a polite nod. "Thank you for coming." I study her face, noticing lines of regret or sorrow. Maybe she's still grappling with her own mistakes. Rebecca exhales shakily. "I made so many mistakes just seeing you happy now. It's painful, but also good. I can't undo what I did, but I'm glad you found someone who deserves you." A swirl of pity and relief courses through me. "I appreciate that," I say carefully. "I hope you're doing better." She nods, tears glistening. "I am, bit by bit. I found a job, a small place, still working on paying off hospital bills. But I'll survive." Silence stretches. Chloe edges closer, and Rebecca offers a wobbly smile. "Chloe, you look stunning. I'm proud of you. I hope we can talk more often." Chloe's lips press together. "Maybe," she says softly. "But let's go slow." Rebecca dips her head in understanding. She glances around, sensing the stares, then takes a step back. "Well, that's all I needed to say." She meets my gaze one last time. "Really, James, congratulations." Then she slips away, vanishing into the twilight beyond the pavilion. I exhale, noticing my heart pounding. Chloe touches my arm. "You okay?" I swallow. "Yeah, glad that didn't blow up." In truth, there's a twinge of sadness seeing her so subdued, but the overshadowing feeling is relief, no venom or drama. just a strange, bittersweet acceptance. Evelyn joins us, noticing the tension in the air. "Everything all right?" she asks gently, slipping her hand into mine. I nod, smiling down at her in her wedding dress. "All good. Let's focus on us, okay?" She grins, leaning her head on my shoulder. The music shifts to a lively tune, and Miss Jenkins beckons us onto the makeshift dance floor. Chloe pulls Lauren into a silly spin. Evelyn and I share a look of amusement before stepping forward hand in hand. We start dancing among the guests, laughter weaving through the starkest evening. Around us, murmurs of conversation swirl, and the shadows of the past recede. This wedding, simple and unassuming, becomes a testament that heartbreak can lead to new beginnings. My arms around Evelyn, the sense of wholeness in my chest, it all feels like an affirmation that life does go on, that love, with its slow and mysterious unspooling, can find us again if we let it. 1 year later, the sun blazes high above a scenic overlook, bathing a stretch of winding road in golden light. I stand near my Mustang, which I've just pulled onto a small gravel patch for a break. Far below, the ocean sparkles. The air tastes of salt and freedom. Evelyn steps out of the passenger side, smoothing her blouse. A warm breeze ruffles her hair. She rests a hand on her slight belly, a gesture she's formed these last few months. My heart stirs at the reminder that we're expecting a child, something neither of us planned so soon. But life had other ideas. Chloe teases us about starting over as older parents, but she's thrilled at the prospect of a baby sibling. "You okay?" I ask softly, eyeing Evelyn's face for any sign of discomfort. She's around 5 months pregnant, and the road trip has had some bumps, literally and figuratively. She smiles. "Just fine. A little hungry, maybe?" She gazes at the shimmering horizon. "This spot is incredible. I love that we decided to take this trip. Feels like we're seeing the future laid out in front of us." I follow her gaze, reflecting on how drastically my life has changed. A long time ago, though, really just a couple of years, I was consumed by betrayal and the drive for revenge. Now I stand with a new wife I trust wholeheartedly, my daughter finishing her first year of college and another baby on the way. The old wounds still twinge if I think too deeply, but they no longer define me. We set up a small picnic on the trunk of the car, sandwiches, fruit, sparkling juice for her, water for me. As we eat, a gull caws overhead. The hush of waves meeting the rocky shore below forms a soothing backdrop. Evelyn touches my hand. "James?" I swallow a bite, turning to see a tender expression in her eyes. "I'm just grateful," she murmurs. "For you, for Chloe, for the baby. Even for the hardships that led us here, in a weird way." She laughs softly, and I see flickers of old pain in her gaze. Because it showed me what true love and resilience look like. I lean over, pressing my forehead to hers. "I feel the same," I say quietly. "All that heartbreak forced me to confront who I am and who I want to be for the people I love." A gentle wind rustles the nearby brush. We take in the serenity for a few more minutes, then finish our food. As I pack up, my phone buzzes. A text from Chloe. "Hey, old man, missing you guys. Don't forget to send me pics of the ocean." I grin, quickly snapping a selfie with Evelyn and the scenic backdrop. Then I shoot it off to Chloe, letting her know we're alive and well. With a satisfied sigh, we drive on. The winding coastal highway offers panoramic views of cliffs and water, a perfect metaphor for how life can be both precarious and breathtaking. At one point, we pass a lookout where an older couple waves at travelers, selling homemade jam. Evelyn begs me to stop. We pull over, chatting with them for a moment, sampling the jam. They're sweet, telling us stories of how they met in their youth. I watch Evelyn laugh, imagining us in decades to come, maybe telling our own grand love story, complete with hardships and second chances. Later, we check into a quaint seaside inn. The owner, a friendly woman named Marina, gives us a room with a partial ocean view. The walls are painted pale turquoise, reminiscent of calm waters. After we settle in, Evelyn rests on the bed, one hand on her belly, eyes gleaming with contentment. I can almost see the shape of our future nights up with a newborn. Family dinners with Chloe, perhaps even bridging the gap with Rebecca enough that she can be part of our child's extended family. It sounds impossible, but time has a way of softening rigid boundaries. We head out for an evening stroll along the beach. The sky blazes orange and pink in the fading sun, waves lapping gently at the shore. Evelyn takes off her shoes, giggling as the cold water tickles her toes. I hold her hand, the rolling ocean reflecting the vastness of possibility we've embraced. As we walk, a sense of closure washes over me. The scars from betrayal are there, but so are the joys of new beginnings, Chloe's success in college, this unborn child stirring in Evelyn's womb, and the knowledge that I can love and trust again without letting old pain sabotage me. We find a smooth rock to sit on, the tide inching closer. Evelyn rests against me, her hair catching the last rays of sunlight. My mind wanders to the final lines of reflection like the epilogue of a novel that's been unwinding for years. I recall the vow I made at the darkest point. Never let betrayal define me, never let anger poison me. In forging a careful plan of revenge, I discovered it left me hollow once it was done. True healing only came when I opened myself to the quiet, steadfast love Evelyn offered. And Chloe's unwavering presence taught me that no matter how battered a family is, it can still find new shapes in the aftermath. Sighing contentedly, I watch the horizon. The waves stretch into infinity, much like the life we're building. I glance at Evelyn's relaxed profile. We should pick a name soon, I muse. If it's a girl, maybe something that symbolizes hope. She smiles, eyes half closed. Hope itself is a lovely word. But let's see what Chloe suggests. She's definitely going to have opinions. A breeze kisses our faces, the sun sinking fully behind the sea, painting the clouds in lavender and gold. At that moment, I feel I've reached the vantage point of all I've been through, a vantage that reveals heartbreak is not an end, but a storm that can push you to safer shores if you sail through it with determination. A single wave surges closer, foaming around the rock where we sit, as if urging us back to shore. Evelyn laughs and stands, offering me her hand. We stroll back to the inn, the sky deepening to twilight. My free hand rests lightly on her belly, feeling a gentle flutter from the life inside. A quiet thrill moves through me. This is the horizon we're stepping into, unknown but full of promise. No final overshadowing, no lingering resentments, just the steady, slow motion of love and life carrying us forward. And that's enough to make me believe that despite the bitter end of my first marriage, the real story, the story of resilience, family, and second chances, has only just begun.